on my Chinese plugin. It is in Chinese. It's Chinese characters on the plugin on their GitHub. I haven't updated it in a long time, but that's how I dual stream. It goes directly out of OBS to the two feeds for YouTube and Twitch. And there we go. We're up on YouTube. How you doing, YouTubers? Let's get you on chat. So I click on God. I click auto find and activate. Oh, and it found it. Oh, that's nice. Sometimes it barks back and tells me to shove it in my ear. Okay, cool. I've only encountered the hostile to foreign emotes once. It was weird. Yeah, and there was one time, it was like early Twitch days when Rabaz first, that wasn't early Twitch days, it was middle Twitch days, but it was early for Rabaz when he moved over. He had this wonderful stream, all these viewers, and he said, let's find a channel that doesn't have anybody in it. And they rated this like 2 or 3 person channel, and they were, the person broadcasting was using their channel as like a video conference software. It was before, you know, well before the pandemic and all that stuff. And so they were like rattled. They were like, why did you raid this channel? They were mad. And apparently the channel got banned. Apparently got banned. What's up, Madam You? How you doing? Welcome, welcome, YouTubers. Did that showed up there? I just missed it while I was talking, probably. This happened to be extremely rare to me, but I can't believe the couple moments that I was told off for using another streamer's emotes. That's so weird, right? That's so weird, but it's like, especially the big channels coming over from YouTube. In YouTube, they control everything, right? There's no chat. And so they're not really familiar with how Twitch is. I love seeing other emotes, and I can't stress that enough. I really want to drive that home, because even just saying, you know, ew, what's that weird emote? Because I say that, I'll say that. I'll be like, wow, it's a weird one. What is that? But listen, I love weird stuff, okay? I love it. I love it. I love weird animation. I love the fringe. I love it. But, oh, what was that? Red light. Red light equals salivation. No, wait, that's Pavlov. Keeper of Maps subbed at tier 1 for 75 months. Hell yeah, brother. Thank you so much. Man, I really need to cut up that song that I played at the beginning and make it like, make sounds when stuff happens. I don't know. I didn't want to use like sounds for like blah blah blah. Just subscribe and have it go blah dunk and then do the doodaloo 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 like slot machine and then go ding 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 and shh and the, you know, the brain releases that little bit of dopamine because we've keyed into gambling stuff, which has boiled down human experience into dopamine hits. I didn't want to play into that system. Thank you for not doing that. Yeah, and I'm always like embarrassed. Like you go to a streamer, you go, oh, they're kind of neat. I guess I'll click a follow. And it's like, and the streamer's like, oh my God. It's like, stop, please stop. I just clicked follow. Please just keep doing what you were doing that I liked. Now you're shouting and I don't like it. I wanted to brush all that stuff off of the table. Yeah, and just, you know, do my own thing and be kind of chill about it. Turns out it's kind of pretty lucrative to do that stuff. So I don't know. Real, that happened to me once. I've had it happen a couple times, and especially being a partner and you see this smaller streamer and you're like, they're pretty cool. I kind of want to like raid them and see if, you know, we can give them a little hype sometime. So I'll keep an eye on them, and you click follow and they're like, what's bother? And it's like, oh, I gotta run. That happens when you raid a channel too. They'll be like talking to you for an hour and a half and you're like, dude, I just finished a 5-hour stream. I've just been talking and being extroverted for 5 hours, which is entirely against my personality, and it's exhausting. I just want to go and touch grass. Here, take my viewers. They still have energy. I'm dying. And they want to hype at you for like 2.5 hours, and it's like, I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm touching grass. I'm sorry. But I can understand it, because obviously if like fucking Germa said hi in the chat, I would not come down from that high for at least 2 streams. That's just how it is. But yeah, can we get the car horn of the simulator rig honking for stream events? I could do that today. I think I have a car horn in some of my stuff in the back. I used to have an extra super loud car horn that a friend uninstalled from his car and got a new extra super loud car horn. So he gave me the old ones, and I was going to install that in my car, and I just whiffed that one for like 10 years. So supposedly in the back somewhere, there is a red car horn that is punishing, and I could install that, and I could hook it up to MQTT on my network in 10 minutes, and we could put a relay board on it that I have sitting over to my left. I'm not going to do that. Car horns are painful. They hurt when you're in closed quarters like this. I do need to have like something special happen during raids, and I think at some point I want to get a bunch of those little spinny lights, and I could have all the shop and production lights turn off, and we'd have just the spinny lights going for like a second or two. I think that would be pretty good for like a big raid. One honk per month. Meep, meep, meep. And then my heart gives out and I die. That's what would happen. If you had a robotic laser that etches the blah, 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 blah. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't know what you're talking about. This is the least flattering angle that I think I've ever found of myself. It's kind of brilliant. Wow, how unflattering. I have not been good about dieting. I need to get back on that horse. Wow, I don't like that angle at all. What a terrible angle. It's just a camera that's sitting on the ground right there. I should put that up there, and then I can look at the 3D printer and the SimRig, and then over here, I don't know. That would put me more in the background. So I had an idea for a game. Maybe it's been done, but watching Samson, it's Samson, right? That's what it's called. It's a GTA-like, and it's got slightly more modern graphics. So there's like, it basically looks like Philly in the 80s. And I should know I was in Philly in the 80s. But worse, it's like Philly during the garbage strike in the 80s. And after a rainstorm. So there's like puddles of water all over. You've got like elevated subway lines. Everything is rusty. It's all just grimy and gritty. And it is so super violent. Nobody has guns. Some people have guns, but basically nobody has guns. And they're all just fist fighting and like hitting people with wrenches and stuff. It's super duper violent. But it's sort of like Arkham Asylum violent, where it's like, sure, it showed an animation where you definitely probably killed that guy, but he'll get up later. You didn't actually kill him. It's that kind of thing, right? And you're in a big muscle car and you're in a leather jacket and everything's testosterone. I want to use that engine to make a spooky game, and in the spooky game, you are in a spooky situation, like lockpick simulator game where you've got to do a task. And there's like suddenly something creepy happens. The lights go out and there's a shadowy figure there. Except in my game, you will get fed up with this. It'll start being like one of those spooky walk around and spooky stuff happens. And then suddenly you get fed up with this and a fight tutorial comes up and you can actually punch the shit out of the ghost. So you can violently just beat the crap out of these ghosts. I want to do that. That sounds like such a great game. You'd have like one of these creepy, the Japanese ghosts like crawling on the wall, and you just enough and rip them down from the wall, and the ghost is like, no, what are you doing? And then you just like beat the living shit out of the ghost and like leave them in the dumpster. I think that would be such an awesome concept for a game. Just the Arkham level of violence that you could put into this. It's like, ooh, I'm a spooky ghost. You should be scared. Why are you punching me? Fatal frame fisticuffs. Yeah, oh man, I think that would be just such a great game. You'd have an entire like hidden fighting engine in there, and that would be the primary gameplay loop, but you wouldn't get it until you sneak through the spooky house and get spooked a couple times and then go, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? And then you just get violent. Like you grab a frying pan and go to town. They're Scooby-Doo ghosts, so they're actual people. No. Oh, this is frozen. Oh. So you need to make a bat file in order to start back up Stream Deck, because what I need to do now in order to fix the microscope with this really, really crappy plug, and I guess I should probably go in and tighten this thing up. Maybe that's what we work on. If our packets don't work today, maybe we'll try to fix the microscope a little bit. I need the microscope to fix the microscope though. But yeah, this plug here I want to replace with a USB-C. This is a Logitech webcam that's been in a mount that's from a place called Kurokesu. They don't sell these anymore, these repackaging mounts. They have sort of their own camera systems now, but this is a, not Ukrainian, but it is in that area of the world. But it's an aluminum case that has a microscope C-mount lens, and then I have an adapter to a Nikon lens because I had an extra one of these, which makes for a nice 2-foot standoff from your desk, and you get pretty good microscopy out of it, and you can put spacers in and get even closer. We've looked at EEPROMs before and stuff. It's pretty cool. So now that I've unplugged and replugged this, what I need to do is deactivate the camera. So I'm gonna go deactivate, wait a couple seconds, click activate, and it comes back up, but now Stream Deck hasn't made its little connection with it. So now I need to go in my actual desk. You can kind of see me doing it in the corner over here. Into my tray, Stream Deck, quit Stream Deck, yes, quit. And I start it again. So what in the future, what I need to do is make a little batch file in Stream Deck that will start it back up and point Stream Deck at that so that it can close itself. Well, it'll run the bat file and the bat file will close it and open it up again, basically. That's the way that I need to go about that. So anyway, to the start menu and hit STRE. Having that automated and a button on the Stream Deck will make this process a little easier, because Stream Deck, when it first starts up, it'll connect all the webcams. Otherwise, it just doesn't see them when I do my little automated routines that get Logitech webcams to do Logitech webcam things. Otherwise, you get really crappy video out of these things. So I need to go to Setup, and I need to go to Micro Procedure. That does that. I have it change that so that I know it's working. And now we should have streak-free video. It's a little streaky, but it's okay. All right, so now get this out of the way. I just want to do a little soldering at the beginning here. See, if I try to solder it like this, while it'll keep these dual row headers nice and flat against the thing, temperature's really bad for this. This is a cutting surface, not a soldering surface. So this will melt little dots onto this. I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place it like this, and then I'll do a corner of each of these. What tip do we have on here? That'll do. Not the best one for this. Yeah, we need to do more like physical projects, more stuff like this where I get to solder, because that's really one of the big highlights of my channel is my ability to videography, my ability to have good visuals when I'm soldering stuff. That's one of the big draws for new viewers. I managed to not do any damage down there. This one is ground though, so that's going to be tough. Let's go over here where we've got analog inputs. I ordered this board and it's really nice. It's a little bit of an obsolete microcontroller. It's a little older, and it's also not that relevant to the STM32 that we were hacking for the drum pad. But it's such a nice board, I figure it would be cool to use in something sometime. It is an STM32, so it's super fast. Ooh, why are my muscles acting up? This is the mix that we're listening to right now is 8 Ball of the Space Cowboys, which is a music collective out of San Francisco that does Burning Man stuff. I assume they're still doing all right because I'm using their mix right now and it's a relatively new mix. But my interaction with them is that I've been to Burning Man in 2011 and all of my career Burning Man friends like these guys, so. I gotta be careful not to apply heat for too long because I don't want to melt the headers. So I'm just sort of going quickly on this one. I guess I could get it in the vise. I think the vise will open up enough for this. Yeah, what was this one? 32F103. Oh, so this is the same chip that is in the drum machine, which it's pretty old. It's a pretty old chip, but I do have an Arduino core for it. See how far this thing opens up. The vise is here just to add weight to the thing that I'm soldering so that I don't push it around with the soldering iron. But it's light enough that it allows me to reposition nice and easy. Yeah, 2-row labels, 2-row pins being labeled and everything. Yeah, these are, and it's USB-C, which is also pretty cool. And then you've got all of your programming pins over here. And then it's got a little thingy for an LCD, and there's the reset and the program thing. They gave it an 8 megahertz clock externally. Yeah, it's, I mean, a bare bones, it's pretty keen. I bought this because I was going to do the Hello World with this one, and then I guess I don't know why I bought the other ones then. I think I ordered a bunch of stuff, and it just, I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, I didn't hear what the sample was. Typical of things like house music where they just have somebody talking. So if you wanted a soldering tutorial without so many words, this is just what soldering should look like. I'm sort of applying heat on the opposite side of the pin, and then I apply the solder to the pin, but really I sort of poke the iron with the solder first sometimes in order to release that rosin core and get a little bit of flux/rosin over the joint, and that'll coat the joint. You can see it becomes sort of liquidy and shiny, and then the solder itself should look like when you break the surface of water and the water kind of sticks to you. That's kind of what it should look like. Some of these might get a little too much solder. It's not the end of the world as long as they are not blobs. There's all kinds of joints that you should look for improper soldering. And if I was doing this properly, I would hold heat for just a little bit after the joint flowed over like that. And you can sometimes see, like if we take the risk on this one and I apply it and I wait, that solder will kind of sink in a little bit. You'll see it sort of retract a little as you heat through the whole via. I can't quite get that on this board, and since I don't have these plugged into anything, the trick about soldering headers is you should have something that you can plug the headers into, and that something will take the brunt of the heat, but it'll also keep everything aligned as the plastic that aligns the headers currently turns into a form of soup with all the heat you're applying. Pseudo gospel. Oh, people loved it. They loved to put gospel words over songs. I think I'm guilty of that too. I think I've done that before. It's like, I want somebody who's like really into what they're saying. You're like, well, here's a line about mankind. And the beauty of this world. All right. Assembly is the reverse of disassembly. Yeah, if I had the ability to make a dinky little game, I would definitely want to do a full-bore fighting game that's like just brutal. And maybe the style could be that low poly style that all the horror games are using, the kind of slightly lazy style, but it would still have that brutal fighting engine in it. And it would start off as a stupid horror game where you're like, oh, scary ghost, but then you get fed up with it, and so all the ghosts would be like, no. There's that gnome punching game. That's sort of in that same vein. That one already had solder on it. See, that wasn't a complete solder job, and it's on a ground pin. Ground pins will suck the heat out of your solder, and so this one doesn't look like it's flowed over all the way. So all of them, the other ones in that area look like that too. I don't like this, but I think it's okay. I think I might be just seeing the reflection of the pin next to it in the sort of shine there, because like that seems to wrap up that way. So I think I'm looking at the text. I think I'm seeing G&D through that. I think they did flow over. That's why when you're done soldering, it helps to kind of look at the board from the side. You sort of pick it up a little bit and tilt it, because we only have one eye looking at this. I have used 3D microscopes before. They were really cool. They had this sort of lenticular spinning disc, and that was able to give you the viewpoint from 2 eyepieces, which was really cool. And it kind of keeps you from having to like press your eyes into 2 like microscope cups and you're not hunched over. It's a very, very cool tool. But that didn't even help that much with the sort of parallax of looking at these things from so far away. Like right now, I'm looking at a 1080p monitor with an OBS window. Actually, is this 4K? I think it's 1080p, to be honest. I think I'm looking at a 1080p monitor with a window in it. So basically exactly what you're seeing if you're looking at this on a desktop, if I'm on monitor 2, I'm seeing the exact same thing, and it's actually at a slightly greater distance. So you got to know the limitations of your microscope setup. That said, it is in 1080p and full FPS, which is very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. And I know exactly what I'm broadcasting. I wonder how well an individual can create a good fighting game these days. Because isn't Samson is like a studio thing. That's like a full studio doing that. So they got like artists and programmers, and of course their game is, you know, looks really nice. It's a little buggy, but it's funny as hell. So I wonder with like Godot or Unreal or whatever game engine, if I could put together a really, really brutal fighting game. All the like interactions and moves and animations and stuff like that are probably really difficult to do. But I mean, we've had Soul Calibur for a long time. There have to be tools to help produce something like that. So now that I'm done soldering it, what I'll do, take it off of the thing that's holding it and just inspect it a little. Okay, yeah, so that wasn't the reflection. These are actually kind of suffering up here. You can see that it's like half soldered. So what I need to do is I need to apply heat for time. And did we get them? They're flat on the thing. Good enough. None of them are twisted to the side. How does the solder work? Is it melting metal? Yes, it is. So it's an alloy of a couple different metals. The shiny stuff is partially lead. That's the solder that I'm using. Generally, nowadays there are unleaded solders. All the old folks that do electronics hate unleaded solder. They hate it. But solder that flows over and doesn't look dry generally has a little bit of lead. Silver, lead, and mine is in fact rosin core. Rosin is the same stuff that you put on your violin bow. This stuff melts when the temperature is applied to it, and it will coat the joint, and it'll hold in heat, and it'll keep oxidation out, and that makes the joint look better. And then you can use a solvent to remove the rosin. Solder is liquid metal. Certain metals accept other metals to tin them. In this case, we are tinning the pins, which means we are adding solder to the outside surface of it. The pads on this one anyway were gold. Gold really loves to accept solder. Gold, silvers, there's some other stuff. Copper will of course accept solder as well. The rosin helps. So with copper and gold and stuff, you're not making an alloy with those. Those remain there. The solder will coat that other metal and get into the crystal structure a little bit, just enough that it has an incredible mechanical hold. It is basically welded together, but without a welding joint, without metallurgistic mixing. You have one metal and then another metal, and that's brazing and soldering, is basically you coat it with liquid metal that then solidifies when it dries. Solder is of course soft, it's malleable. You know, I've got a spool of it and you can just kind of pose it in places and you can rip it apart and stuff like that. It is, a very weak metal designed to melt and coat. And then if you do things like plumbing, you'll use more like a silver solder so that you don't have like lead and everything. What's up, Gonad? I was talking about your emotes earlier. I went on that typical bother rant of why I chose all yellow for my emotes because I wanted to have a brand, and I looked at other electronics channels and I saw kind of the same tropes of you have to have a resistor, it has to be done in MS Paint, and they never really kind of look good. And I'm like, I'm basically describing Gonad's emotes, except Gonad made them work. But yeah. Also, you missed my amazing idea for a game that I don't know if I'll ever produce. It would be funny if somebody stole it from me. But if you've seen this Samson game that basically takes place in Philadelphia in the 80s, it is a gritty, dirty, awful, filthy game where you go and you beat people up in your muscle car, right? You beat the shit out of them and it's like brutal. I want to take that and I want to make a dinky horror game where you've got like the all of the horror game tropes of like the lights go out and there's a silhouette. Oh my God, I saw the ghost and it's a jump scare. Except that eventually you get fed up and pissed off and you go, I've had enough of this. And like it'll go into a fighting game tutorial and then you beat the shit out of all of these ghosts. And so the ghost will be like, no, what are you doing? Ah! And you beat the crap out of it. Like, the ghost's like, what the hell, man? And it's so you're just fighting. It's just a brutal like brawler with ghosts. That's my game idea. I think that would be an amazing game. You're just like, I've had enough of this ghost shit, and you just rip the ghost off of the wall, and it's like, no, what are you doing? Stop, help. This guy's beating me up. Commander Caleb, I thought of an idea for a superhero that might appeal to you. It's OP, it's genius superhero in the early 20th century using 21st century toys, but his Achilles heel is he's a diabetic. There are kids superhero. There's a kid superhero that is diabetic. It's a little pathetic. There's also a movie where the kid's diabetic, and it kind of sucks because it's from like the late 90s. And it's like mom's making a movie where the lead kid is a diabetic like me. That should have lit up. Why didn't that work? Did you say Eldia? Is that what you're saying? Keeps sugar packets and has insulin yeast and runs low and has to get pig pancreas. I don't know, working that scene into your comic book where the superhero that we're supposed to look up to punches a fucking pig in the pancreas, rips it out and puts it in a centrifuge. There you go. The farts work. The idea that light works. I don't know why it didn't do that. We were just putting headers on this thing just so I didn't lose the headers. I just didn't want to lose the headers. Does it not work? Oh, we can modify that right now. We can modify that right. YouTube, this is the pre-stream. This is the stuff that I would typically like. I wrap up pretty quickly after we make YouTube live. The chocolate cake pickups a power down. It's like the green mushroom. No, but like YouTube, you may not understand what's going on right now. Why is he doing miscellaneous little weird things instead of actually like immediately getting into the project? Well, because what we're doing right now is collecting people, so I don't have to explain myself 10,000 times. So what I'll do is I'll go live on Twitch for a little bit and we'll do some of the kind of like upkeep things that I have to do for the stream, and I just shoot the shit with my chat for a little while. So you guys are privy to that now. So Twitch over here, and a reaction is chat message, and we're looking for idea, all caps. So we're going to add another one, and this one is idea, and we do contains. And we're actually listening to music. YouTube, you are not, because your copyright stuff is crazy. I've been here for like 2 years. I know. Listen, I'm not explaining. If you're commenting that you already know what I'm talking about, you're not who I'm talking to. This is like the opposite of chat asking about the stream starting. All right, so we'll connect that and deploy. And then over here, if you guys say capital idea, everybody's going to say it. Everybody's going to say, everybody. Only Twitch though, because I can't, for now, there we go. For now, I can't scrape comments from YouTube. The YouTube API requires you to pay like tickets or something, and it does not work with like an active chat because you'll run out of tokens. This song has been stuck in my head for the past month, so I'm going to pause this. This song has been stuck in my goddamn head. I'm going to play it again. YouTubers can look it up. Regex test idea. That could probably work. I mean, you can put regex into the Node-RED thing, but Ah, damn it. I was off by a button. I went dun 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 dun. Ah, there we go. Is that sax in the background? It's a full goddamn 70s band. 80s band. This is from a couple memes back in the 2006 era of memes. One of them is the FU Detroit car ad. The other one, I actually don't know the other one because it's not the Crystal Light Championship. But there was also, it's also featured in a water skiing video that some Redditor put into a comment. It's like an episode of Family Guy. Why? Is that an indictment of what I look like from this angle? Baritone sax, that sounds cool. Did everybody want you to be in their song as like the sax solo? The smooth saxophone? We had a radio station try to, it was like the modern rock radio station, and the DJ was such a dunce because he was like, I really love that, like, that smooth saxophone solo in a song. I need songs that have a smooth saxophone solo in it. And like all the suggestions were like logins and like all kinds of like dad rock, and he couldn't play any of it because it was like early 70s rock, like obscure, not really even obscure. It just wasn't the station's like set type of music because it was modern rock. Hootie and the Blowfish is not grabbing a saxophone anytime soon to make a smooth, sexy sax solo in the middle of, oh, I want to bury you. They're not going to do that because the dolphin made him cry. So like, it was just so dumb. All right, that song's over. Modern rock stations are really suffering. I used to listen to them back when they were like the big deal in the late 90s, the late 90s. I was on that modern rock kick, man. That was like crack. I know all those songs like phonetically. All right, we're starting the stream. How's everybody doing? We've got a crazy one today. I have a couple signals that I want to test out, and if those don't work out, I don't know. We'll find something else to work on, I guess. I don't know what. Basically, what I would like to start with is just introing the project. As usual, we get way into the weeds in this channel, just because I have a degree in systems engineering. I've always been working on circuits my whole life. I love hacking. I love getting information that I'm not supposed to get. That's sort of like a soul drive of mine. That's like what, the chicken soup of my hacker soul is, to like get into things that I'm not supposed to, whether it be modifying games by getting into like hex editing, which I used to do, or just modding. And nowadays you just add mods until everything breaks. Funny that you talk about 1990s as modern. That's a language issue. Maybe, I don't, Pseudo, do you native English? I'm not sure. I don't remember. Modern rock, when I listened to it in the 90s, was modern. It is now classic rock, but that's a different issue. But at the time, it was called modern rock, and it's a style of rock, right? All I wanna be. Goddamn, Hootie and the Blowfish stuck in my head for the rest of the day. Listen, so we get into the weeds in this channel. It's just who I am. It's what I do. I love doing it. We are so deep into the weeds that I'm going to have to tell myself to stop. I'm in ST being an ass, okay. So what we're working on is a simulator setup, forest for the trees, right? We are all the way down here looking at a little sprouting plant, and we're going, what leaf is that? Whereas the forest is the simulator setup. What I want is to make a giant man-baby chair that I can fart into during streams and have all of my control stuff that I've accumulated over a lifetime of weirdly collecting things. And so what I want to do is just get all that stuff wrapped into one system. And I figure that one system is going to be the CAN bus. CAN bus is used in industry, it's used in automotive, it's used all over the place, and it's a very fast form of communication that does differential signals in order to mask out common mode noise. It's fast, it's clean, it works. So in order to get all of those things into the simulator, we need to talk to a bunch of different stuff. And whether it's something that I've 3D printed with a bunch of switches on it, or a real car part that speaks CAN bus, or if it's a chair that somehow has digital codes that go to it. Cars these days have digital diagnostics, and as much as everybody pans them, they're really good. It's really good. I know technicians love to just sit there with a multimeter going from one wire to the other and hearing a beeping noise and going, okay, that has continuity, I don't know what's wrong. Whereas modern electronics can go, hey, my bulb is out, or hey, I don't have connection to something. And you can narrow stuff down really well and get right to the problem. It really helps with troubleshooting weird problems, and it's actually a good thing. So what cars have been doing is they have been taking all of their individual pieces and they've been putting microcontrollers in them that can then speak on some kind of a bus line. And so they've got intercommunications protocols that allow everybody to talk to everybody and control everybody, and then have diagnostic information come back. So we built a steering wheel out of a real steering wheel from a real car, a Mercedes S-Class from 20 something or other. It had a bunch of buttons on it, and we can pull those buttons by asking for them. We send a digital signal over to the steering wheel, and the steering wheel relays back what buttons are pressed. It's that simple. Bada bing, bada boom. So I had this thing on this big desk clamp that happens to just be at my feet right now. This big desk clamp with these big clamps that would lock it into the side of the desk, and then there would be a 20-pound servo motor sitting on this aluminum plate. That was all well and good. The problem is this thing weighed 20 pounds. And I also had pedals with it too, real car pedals. So we had this whole simulator set up, and I had it, and I put it down in the room next to this one, and there it sat for years, and I never used it. And we put all that effort into this thing. There's all kind. I'm not even hitting the tip of the iceberg on that one. There's so much more to that project that we did in order to get it running. And as soon as I got it running, I didn't care about it at all. That's me. I like working on the project more. So I've taken down all of that stuff, and we are putting all that stuff into an actual simulator rig. I've got these giant rails. My brother gave me a car seat from his car. He happened to get a more luxurious interior, which is perfect for me because what we want to do is build a luxury car. And if I have the luxury car part, it doesn't need to be the most comfortable seat. I'm okay with it being a little utilitarian as long as it feels like, luxury-ish. This thing has all kinds of motors in it, and those motors allow the CAN bus to speak to it and move it around. Namely, if you are taking the seat out of your car, you need to have a connection to OBD so that you can move the seat all the way forward, get the bolts out, move the seat all the way back, get the bolts out, and then remove the whole thing. I took the airbag out. There's no airbag in this thing. There's like a plastic shell where the airbag would sit in the side. There's no airbag in this seat head, and I don't think we use leg airbags anywhere, so no airbags. It's not going to blow up on me. So we have a whole damn car seat that we can talk to using the CAN bus. I bought a steering shaft from a similar Mercedes to the wheel that has motors in it. We crashed it so that it can be a little bit more narrow so I don't have as much stuff sticking out of the back. I got all the angles right for the pedals down here. This is a real BMW car pedal thing. It's like an aluminum part. Maybe we can see it. Can we see it here? This is like the least flattering angle of a bother. Yeah, there we go. You can see it's got like the spring stuff in it, and I've got Hall effect sensors on that. The pedal is sitting over here. The pedal's over here. That's the steering wheel, by the way. It's just sitting on the floor. The pedals, the gas pedal sits on the floor of the car, and I don't have a floor yet. So I need to work on that part of that. I'm still figuring out all the business over there. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to get to. But anyway, so that's what we're working on, right? I want to use real car parts in order to make it feel like a real car. Nice monitor setup. Thank you. This is a utility. This is where I work when I work on PC stuff that you guys can see. This is all of my chat and OBD monitoring and scene selection stuff. The Stream Deck XL has a limited number of scenes that I can use, and it's how I do those like action things, and especially the zoom in, but sometimes I'm clicking up here in order to get to the various scenes. And then this is the like junk monitor where I put things like Twitch, the Streamlabs and Discord and stuff like that. So that's what keeps me aware of what's going on stream. So anyway, the point is I've got all this simulator stuff that I want to convert into CAN bus, and then I've bought actual real car parts to feel like a car. This is actually kind of a personal one. I had a headlight switch, and it was an E46, an older BMW, early 2000s BMW style headlight switch, plugged into this board where it would switch on and off all of the various headlight wires. Well, If you make it digital, now there's only 3 wires that go to this thing, whereas before it had a plug that was this big. Look at all that. That all represents different wires that need to go all the way to the fringes of the car. Why hand red? You know, they used to be more red than this, and it's not that I'm about to blow up into a blood fountain. It's not that my blood pressure can be measured in PSI. It's actually that the camera has a histogram in it, and it tries to keep the histogram of all the color pixels that it's seeing sort of in the whatever middle of the color temperature that it's using. And so if there is something that is predominantly green in the camera, it'll shift that color over and my hands look like they're blood red. My blood pressure can cut glass. Yeah, no, that's not the case. It's just the camera biasing the histogram of colors that it gets in. These are webcams after all. They have all these kind of like automatic things that are going on in them in order to make a nice luscious image in front of you. Thanks for throwing this on YouTube also. I don't Twitch. Dun, dun, dun. And this is so freaking cool. Hey, I appreciate that very much because there's not a ton of interaction from YouTube. YouTube doesn't really like hour-long streams unless it's cropped vertically and in phone format. I could do that, but we would get a lot of very young viewers too if we did that. I don't know if I want that. But anyway, yeah, so this stuff is pretty cool, right? There's not a lot of information about it. But so Personal Vendetta, I had an E46 headlight, like switch cluster. This thing sits to the left of the steering wheel, lets you turn on your brights and stuff. I saw some modern ones on eBay, and I think the more modern ones are literally just a button you push that says like brights, headlight. I hate that. I hate that so much. I'd rather have something cool. I like this selector switch so much better. Point is, they've been making all of these different pieces of the car stuff digital. And so this had 3 pins on the back, which tells me that it's using a 1-pin protocol. In cars nowadays, they use what's called the LIN bus, the local interconnect network, LIN. There we go. LIN, local interconnect network, because putting 2 wires and making a CAN bus is very, very slightly more expensive for the OEM. So they invented an entire new like communication schema. There is a standard form of communication to LIN bus stuff. And so there's a very limited number of addresses that you can assign to things in the LIN bus. Therefore, in an afternoon, you can set up a brute forcer and you can check all of the addresses to see if something replies. We did that with this, and we found out that this LIN bus address was number 2. This is it. It's just number 2, which is crazy. So number 2, if you say, hey, number 2, this thing will respond with a packet that represents the 1s and 0s of whatever selection, whatever position, and if this is pressed or not. Pretty crazy. So we're able to actually digitally communicate with a button cluster, which is phenomenal. That means that I can buy car parts all day and have physical buttons. This is just that the cars don't really have physical buttons anymore. You have a giant touch screen, which sucks. So I'm not going to be buying a whole ton of digital buttons for my car setup. Unfortunately, I have other stuff though. I have things like this MIDI pad, and I have some switch clusters and stuff that we can convert into CAN bus, basically taking over from the microcontroller. I don't want to take over from the microcontroller on this one though. There is a backlight on this switch. We've seen the LEDs. They're orange LEDs that are all the way on this PCB all the way over here. I don't want to desolder the microcontroller, add my own, and then just make it function the way I want. I could do that. And we would have been done by now. I would have been done all of this crap. I want to hack into this because it's fascinating. I think we can actually send this a signal and get it to light up its lights. But I've had trouble with it. And the trouble that I've had with it is that there's just no information on LIN bus specific packets. You can get the LIN Consortium documents, and I've pored over them before. And you can read up about how that structure works. And that'll give you some good ideas on how you can poll devices, because there's not much to polling devices. You don't need like a secret key, right? It's just literally the address and then 2 parity bits that describe the bits that came before so that it knows that it's getting good information. That's it. That's all it is, right? Ones and zeros. You can, and you can do what's called bit banging, which is not as cool as it sounds, but it kind of is. Bit banging is when you control the timings of your microcontroller, making pins go high and low in order to do something like serial communication. So bit banging is when in software you do timings. When you're not bit banging serial signals, you are using either your IDE or your whatever you're importing into the microcontroller would take direct control of the UART and have it do its job and do all its own timings. You're taking over the timing. So that's what we're doing. We're taking over the timing. Our microcontrollers don't need to do anything else but these tasks, right? We don't have like comprehensive jobs that these microcontrollers need to manage in the meantime. This thing literally is like, I want you to turn on some lights, and then I want you to listen to when I ask you what the buttons are doing. So comprehensively, we've been able to get into these devices. We know the steering wheel buttons. We know the buttons on this switch. What we don't know is how to tell it to do stuff. Those are closely controlled by the companies that manufacture these things, and they are generally not available. If you are to do LIN bus hacking and you want to buy $20 eBay parts like me and actually hack into these devices, it really helps if you've got either a rental place or you have a family member that has one of these cars, because then you can plug into that bus, you can get a quick little log of the signals that are going out, and the periodically sent signals will give you an idea of what those backlight packets look like. We would be done if my brother would visit in his BMW, but he doesn't. He drives a giant SUV because he's trying as hard as he can to be a redneck. Giant SUV with one row of seats per toddler. The thing is the size of our garage, but it is not the BMW that he bought. I would be able to click into that BMW, move the knob up and down, change the headlight position, and that's it. I would be done. I would be able to pick those packets out, and I would be able to interpret them. Instead, what I've got, and this is our Hail Mary, all that I've been able to find, and this is actually Tequin Dragon. If you guys remember Tequin Dragon, they watched the show. They've been watching it on VOD because they, I don't know, got a life or something. It's like, pff, who are you to like go get a life? Fine. I'm not jealous. Anyway, they got a life, and so they went off and have been watching VODs. And I'm happy for the VOD watchers. Love you guys. They found Couch Built. It's Coach Built, a YouTube channel. Coach Built. Oh, it is Couch Built. I thought it was Coach. Couch Built YouTube channel has a crazy car project. And listen, I could join the annals of all of these wonderful and beautiful car, super fast mats, your Couch Builts, your not Road Guy Rob. That's a little different. These guys who are like really successful in making crazy modified cars. I could be among them. I could walk in the pantheon, the annals of these people, of these crazy car builders. I've done a lot of crazy car projects in my day. And this bit hacking is really cool for making your car like function and having all of the controls over it and stuff like that. I would love to be doing this kind of stuff. I don't have space. I don't have room. I live with a bunch of roommates, right? Yeah. Anyway, Couch Built is doing exactly kind of the stuff that I love doing, but they have a donor car. And so having a donor car for their steering wheel means that in order to find what the steering wheel packet is, they're using just typical bus hacking tools, which is essentially like when you boil engineering down hard enough, you find yourself using Excel for everything. This is real engineering right here. This is what engineering looks like. So what they did is they had the steering wheel plugged in, and then they unplugged it and looked at the same bus. They did not move the knob and change the headlights. I was considering contacting them. They might actually be nice instead of just like crushing me under their heel. Silence, small streamer. I am a YouTuber with 36,000 subscribers. 39. No, they'd probably be pretty nice. Generally, reaching out as a creator to other people. Nobody's crushed me under their heel. I just like talking about it like that. It's like when Uwo's Lab raided, and I'm like, oh, Uwo's Lab, he was totally cool. He didn't like destroy me as soon as he saw. I like that hyperbole of how small my channel is, and no, generally they're very nice. But I have not reached out because I think it's fascinating what we can do with the packets that we have here. I could very politely say, hey, would you mind turning on the headlights and then moving up and down the backlighting and just getting a log of that? I would love that. But no, I'm not going to put them out. Maybe if this today doesn't work, but what we have here is a comparison of steering wheel and no steering wheel packets. So I'm very glad that Couchbuilt gave me this screenshot. The chances of getting the same thing for this steering wheel here are incredibly low. I really don't know anybody that gets logs of stuff like Mercedes. The BMW people are the real like nerdy people that do like all this kind of hacking. I don't know if we're going to find the same thing for Mercedes at all. Maybe I can rent an S-Class from 2014, and the fastest way for me to get to that LIN bus would be to take the airbag out, leave it plugged in, take it out, put it on top of the wheel, plug my probe leads into that plug in the back of the wheel. We saw it earlier. The probe leads in the plug in the back of the wheel, and then do a little serial recording of turning on the headlight and dimming it up and down. Hey, if you have a Mercedes S-Class, like if your steering wheel looks like this, you out there, viewers, if your steering wheel looks kind of like this, and you don't mind sticking a screwdriver into the side of it right here, a little bobble, you got to do it on both sides, because all that does is push a little piece of metal out of the way, and then the thing comes off, and then there's a little plug that looks like this. Looks like that. That thing right there. There you go. That little plug. You're hooking up to that little plug. Maybe getting me a little serial log of turning on the headlights and turning up and down the... Please? I don't know where I'm going to be able to find that. I don't know what module this thing plugs into. See, the option would be to buy the module that this thing plugs into, the thing that's speaking LIN bus to it, but I don't think there would be enough stuff talking on the bus for it to do proper communications. I think it would be in like a panic mode. Sorry, my AMG is a little bit different. I know, seriously. How the hell am I going to do it? I mean, if I make a program on the flipper that'll plug into the LIN bus, and I go to a car, like a Cars and Coffee, I go, whoa, that's a cool AMG. Can I sit in it for 10 to 15 minutes with your key? And just like, are you stabbing my wheel with a screwdriver? No, it's fine, it's fine. Ah! The airbag goes off in my face. Yeah, exactly. Because of static electricity, I'm being so vigorous that I'm basically a Van de Graaff generator. Where's the camera that I'm looking for? There it is. Okay. So anyway, this is like amazing. This is the one little nugget of information that I've got going to the steering wheel of a very dissimilar BMW. My thoughts are that we could have a couple things going on. This probably communicates with a different module than the steering wheel, because I see an O2 on that lineup, but part of the LIN protocol of this generation is that the LIN bus is able to reassign addresses. I don't know if they took advantage of that or not, but it's able to say, hey, who's here? Everybody says who's there, and it says, no, you're actually number 2 now. And I think that may have happened to this in a previous life. I don't know. It might just be something that happens during diagnostics. But the thing about LIN bus is we are able to find so little information because LIN bus is, the diagnostics of LIN bus are performed via CAN bus. You plug into that OBD2 port, you're talking to CAN bus, and you tell the CAN thing, hey, I want you to check on the LIN bus on like this particular LIN bus. And so the CAN bus stuff will say, hey, we want to talk to that LIN bus, and the device over yonder that's tucked into the car somewhere will say, yeah, let me hit him up and see what's going on. And so it hits the digits and it gets a reply from this thing, and then it's able to communicate back with CAN bus back to your machine. So the techs that are working on this stuff are not working on an individual packet basis. They don't say, hey, what's your address? There are also diagnostic frames that you can send in LIN bus, but again, it's that other device that's handling it, so the techs don't work with this directly. So it's crazy that not a lot of people have done this. It really speaks to like how inaccessible car stuff is. It is just a little bit more accessible. Did you hit somebody in your DMs with some all car data? No, nobody hit me in the DMs with that. I sent an email out to my car friends, and my car friends include a BMW tech trainer. So I don't know if he has access to all car data. I don't think he does, but he's the person who teaches people how to use their cars, because cars are so ridiculous nowadays. You know, oh, if you push this and this, then this will happen. I haven't gotten a reply. I think they all did the like, hold on. Yeah, I did get one reply. I got one reply. Let me see if I can show you guys it here. Yeah, there's the one reply that I got. Where'd it go? Why'd that disappear? What the? Did I literally, like, why did it vanish? It came up for just 1 second and then it vanished. Why is it doing that? What the hell? Wait, whoa. Why did it disappear? Did you guys see that? Did it come up for you guys too? Is it a GIF? No, that's an image. It's just an image. That's so weird. I was dragging and dropping with OBS and I put it in as an image source. Maybe it's from, oh, it's a WebP. Oh, maybe that's not. Users will bother, app data, local temp. I ain't reading all that. .webp. Maybe it just, I don't know, maybe my cache got rid of it or something. Whatever, anyway, the point is I didn't get a reply. And basically all my paragraphs talking about this, probably really boring to read. So I don't think they, I don't think it got the attention that I hoped it did. So we don't have any information. I mean, I Googled and Googled and Googled until I was Googled in the face. And there's just nothing. So this is it. Now, that said, if I'm the computer engineer that's responsible for this stuff, I'm going to be pretty lazy about the way that I'm coding it. So it's possible that the message in CAN bus that carries backlighting information will directly translate into stuff that the LIN bus packets get. This thing tells a different controller the dimmer switch value, and that controller sends a CAN message to set brightness on devices listening for it. Yeah, so it's actually kind of interesting. This will get pulled to figure out what the status of just the buttons are. It does not tell, I don't think there's room in the packet to say what its personal backlight is set to. The controller that speaks to this thing asks for that information. It gets that information from a CAN bus packet that it will also send out that'll tell things like this to backlight a certain amount. Then CAN bus will communicate with that controller to tell it what the backlight value is again, I guess, and it'll send it on the LIN bus to this thing where it'll then affect the backlight. So if you move this control, it has to speak to something else that will change the backlight value, broadcast that out to everything, including the device that just set it. It's weird. It's like two separate things. We saw that same phenomenon with the same phenomenon with the shifter. The shifter does the same thing. What does it do? It has an indicator of what gear you're in. Park, reverse, neutral, drive are all LEDs sitting on this stock. It will not light those up if you try to put it in a position. Although there aren't really positions on this thing. It's literally just forward, back, more back. That's all you can do with it. So anyway, you put it forward and it says, okay, I'm going to try to get into the next gear. And so it'll send out a CAN bus message. And then the CAN bus thing says, hey, okay, that sounds cool, but let me talk to the transmission first. And so it talks to the transmission. Transmission goes, toot, 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 and it goes, all right, we're in drive now. And then it goes, oh, okay, that's cool, thanks. And then it goes, hey, we're in drive. And then this thing goes, oh, we're in drive. And it goes, boop, drive light, lights up. If we send it one packet, that light will light up and then just go dark. So we have to send a periodic CAN bus packet to tell it what gear we're in so that it can display it here. And then we change it here, but it doesn't display it until it's changed. So that's sort of the weird logic that we're dealing with here. And I think that like method of thinking works its way into things like this with the LIN bus. What if it can't bus then you can't watch this stream. Banned. No, I'm not gonna do that. Rotary in a Beamer, why? What a waste of engine. People put rotaries in all kinds of stuff. Yes, sir, I am the transmission. You can trust me. That's essentially what we're doing. Whew. So that was an hour-long explanation of the project. I want to die. Anyway, so that takes a lot. It's a mouthful, right? We're basically, in light of my inability to have room for a car and the fact that my station wagon is returning to the earth, if you listen very carefully over the microphone, you can hear it rusting. You can hear it creaking and rusting and returning back to the earth. I really need to deal with that rust at some point. That's a brother project, and I have to get myself all the way to Maryland for in a car that was last inspected in 2024. I'm gonna apply for antique plates. I'm gonna go for those antique plates. Anyway, that aside, it's like I haven't been able to work on car projects, and I have a burning desire to work on some kind of a car. And so what we're doing is we're essentially making a digital car. This was, by the way, this is literally, yeah, the rust in the Northeast. The first thing I should have done with that fucking car when I bought it was take it to an undercoating place and get like a good undercoating on it. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't do that. I put a new suspension in there. I have a Bilstein suspension on my station wagon. It made it feel new. My summer car be like, yeah, it's pretty much in IRL my summer car. My car is a 1999 BMW station wagon. It is awesome. I can hack into the whole car with a laptop. It's great. The ABS project was so fun, you need more of it. ABS things that I did were cursed, and it turns out just buying like several Lithuanian ABS computers was the solution. I wish I could have taken you guys through that and made like maybe a cool video out of the whole thing using that song that I just played. Actually, the explanation for what the sim setup is, I'm really considering whether or not I'll get a ding for copyright if I make a video to this song that describes this whole project, because I have to describe the previous project and then I have to say, but I broke it down and now I'm building it into a whole sim setup. It is just mad. So I need like theme music behind it that's really catchy. Anyway, VODs will be very confused. You can just look up the song, literally just deadlines, parentheses, trailer music. It's awesome. Anyway, so maybe I should make a trailer for this, and then we could just point people towards it. This has to go back to the video monitor window. Begone window. So anyway, we have some frames from Couch Built in another window. Hold on, where is that? Couch Built. We have some frames from Couch Built. I wrote them down. There's a little tiny section of this explanation where he scrolls down and then back up. That was actually kind of vital. Here he's just looking at, basically he just highlighted the diagnostic packets. We don't know what the diagnostic packets are doing. Sorry, frames. They're called frames. We don't know what the diagnostic frames are doing. Now listen, if you missed the whole explanation, you're only getting to the part we're doing the hardcore hacking. This works. We are able to, with our microcontroller and a LIN bus UART, we are able to say, hey bud, what's going on? And this thing will reply with the status of its buttons. That works. I've got a whole Arduino project, whole Arduino program where I've got functions that I pull in and I can just use them cavalier, and I can just make whatever LIN bus packets and listen to whatever LIN bus packets that are coming back and display them on the serial port. So that's going to evolve into a device that will pull one or two of these LIN bus devices and create CAN bus packets and send them out on the CAN bus network, right? That's what this is going to evolve into. The icing on the cake would be to get these lights to light up, and we have next to no information about it because nobody's talking about LIN bus. I really wish they were. I wish more people were going on eBay, buying $20 car parts that speak digital bus and hacking into them. You see that with CAN bus. The shifter, we found somebody's project who had hacked into the shifter. So we have CAN bus packets that we know what they do. You know, those are documented. You saw them just a second ago, right here. Shift lever status, selector position, transmission status 2, gear info. We've got, you know, these are known for these cars. The LIN bus stuff is not. What's that chromatic mushroom? Been lurking here and there. Oh, I appreciate it. And I'm pleased to see the progress. It is a slog right now. We are making progress. We've had good stuff happen. We've been able to get into the LIN bus. We're able to make the parity parts. We're able to get all of our data into the right spots. We're able to make a checksum that is, we think, recognized by everybody else. It is, we compared checksums. You know, we went into the bathroom at the same time and we compared our checksums. And so we know that we're functioning, right? We know we're functioning. We still haven't gotten the thing to light up. And it seems like if we're doing it the same way as the CAN bus, it's going to be like a regularly timed frame. Something within 30 milliseconds is going to have to be sent. If we send it the right address, it might light up for a little bit of a boop. There are other things going on though. One of the things that we discovered about the CAN bus is that within the CAN bus, there are counters. BMW seems to love to do this. I don't know about Mercedes because we haven't seen that in Mercedes. I took some of those couch-built packets and I wrote them all down in the comments section of my Arduino code. This is how engineer be done. This is how I like to think as an engineer. So I put them all together and I was able to see chronologically the BMW steering wheel. When you pull it, it is device number 101 on its own bus. The bus topography can change. It can be, different devices, like small devices that are connected together. You can be talking to a LIN bus that's like your door controls and like one steering wheel stalk, right? It could be anything. So they could be on different buses. I assume that the packets are going to look similar, but the addresses might not necessarily be the same. This controller is polling O2 and there's no response from something like a headlight controller. So whatever, but I assume that these packets are going to look very similar. The steering wheel for the BMW replies, all of its button statuses are set to 0. And later on in the video that I pulled up, Couch Built goes into the buttons being pressed and you can see those parts of the packet are changing. And then they have 4, 4, 4, 5, 4, 6, 4, 7. What's going on there? What this is doing is it's counting, and it's counting so that the chronologility, I need like a chronologicaliness, cron job? Continuity. To keep continuity of the packets. If you're sending a packet that's newer, it's going to have a higher number on it and it will get honored first. That's sort of what's going on here. 44, 45, 46, 47. That's so that the controller can keep track of things coming into it. There's a whole, like for like a serious CAN bus and I guess maybe LIN bus in this schema, there's a whole like engine behind the timings of everything. You have to be like the computer processor, and you have to have prioritize tasking. Anyway, so that's a counter. That's on the steering wheel. The steering wheel is the one counting chronologicality. Is that actually that's a weird friggin' word. So do we have to do this with the backlight? I don't know. I don't actually know, but we need to be aware of this. This might come this might become a thing, because when we send backlighting or gear information to the shifter, and that's CAN bus, that's not LIN bus, but again, we have to do a count on CAN bus. I'm seeing parallels between LIN bus and CAN bus. This is all building sort of a profile of the people that are creating this technology. And I'm sort of thinking like, well, they might do that, right? Am I clear? Is this clear enough for everybody? I really hope it is. I'm trying to be as like base level as I can about this. There's a lot of ideas that are floating around that we haven't tried yet. We have this one little piece of information that we're going to use in order to influence the packets that we're going to send to this button thing. And it is, you have to understand how much of a Hail Mary this is. But it is, we're trying to inform ourselves of some of the tricks and the sort of the schemes that are going on here. My fan is, speaking of cryogenically and chronologically, my fan is actually freezing me right now. I'm in the basement and it's getting up to 90 degrees today. So the AC unit is pumping out, it's pumping iron. So it's actually quite cold in here. Yes, it does. The LIN bus sensor group talks to CAN bus to share info. Some module in the car is setting what the backlight preferences are. It's probably the gauge cluster, because usually they'll put a big computer in the gauge cluster. The gauge cluster is probably telling the LIN bus controller, hey, I want to know what that backlight knob is set to. All of them, basically. And so the LIN bus controller will pull the knobs and it'll get bytes back to describe them. It's more than likely that it takes those bytes, those 16-bit binary numbers that describe where the knobs and stuff are, and it's just moving them into the CAN bus packet. It probably just moves it straight over. There's probably nothing else that it does with that information. Maybe a couple things. Maybe it uses it for a little diagnostic thing, but other than that, I mean, it's likely that it just hands it over to CAN bus and then sends it out with CAN bus. So it's more than likely that if we know what the CAN bus backlighting packet looks like, we may be informed of what the LIN bus packet would look like. But we have a couple periodic packets coming in through here. The steering wheel gets pulled, right? I looked at that just because I put them all over there. Basically, this frame is the address, this is the address without parity. When you add the parity bits, the number changes. I'm putting it in there without parity because it's more clear what the scheme is. Stuff that's a smaller number takes precedent over the stuff that's a higher number. And it calls the packets in somewhat of an order. We've got a couple categories of asks. There's diagnostic checks. That's the 3C and the 3D packets. Oh, this one's actually 3D. I don't know what any of this information is. It's probably coded. It's probably coded to have certain identities to it. Also, one thing that I'm not getting out of the coach built, I don't know who's sending and receiving on the coach built. It doesn't. They don't have that marked in any way. And unfortunately, I am a slave to the documentation that they took. All they're saying is, here is the hex, here is the frame, here is the frame with parity, hex, checksum, and then enhanced, blah, 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 blah. I don't really know. I don't need any of this information, but I don't know who's transmitting, who's receiving what pieces of information here. Because the thing about the LIN bus, if you guys don't know, if you know, you know. What happens in LIN bus stays in LIN. No, what happens in LIN bus is that you send out this information, the address, the parity. You send that on the heels of a timing and a wake-up signal, and then the PID field can be replied from the other device, or it can be filled with information from you. So it's got one wire that does two things. It transmits and receives. So that transmit of that PID field can tell the other device to do stuff, or it can be told to do stuff by another device. So therein lies the rub, huh? What is that? P1, P0, 54321. Oh, parity, 54321. Yeah, that's what the PID field is. But anyway, the bytes that come after it, yeah, those are what is either replied from or telling something to do. It's very hard for me to explain, and I hope I'm being very clear about it. So I took some of these and I sort of bunched them up. And we've got a couple possibilities here. The 00 frame appears to have something that doesn't really correlate to any sort of... It seems like it might be a time-based counter. F0, FFFFF, right? Yeah. Let me be very clear, says the most confusing thing you've ever heard, while also not getting the terminology consistent. Listen, I am only a man. Barely one at that. I am a low testosterone man. The beard is doing a lot of work for me. I am only a man with a man brain that sort of works kind of weirdly. I try to get the terminology to be consistent, but I've called packets and frames, and it's supposed to be called a frame. I try. It may be very unclear what I'm talking about. I'm getting closer to clarity on this one, but we've got sorry, 2-1 is one of the signals that periodically gets sent. There's a whole cluster of things that get sent, and I don't know if somebody's replying or not. But 2-1 contains 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, and then this is all consistent data from packet to packet. But we've got 1, 9, 11, 19. So that's counting up from what I can observe. So that might be the counter frame. That might be a blank frame. In here may contain the backlight information. I don't know. These are the checksums. They don't really matter that much. I don't know why I wrote them down. You do great explaining things. Thank you. I do actually very much appreciate that. I don't think I do, but then Julian, my buddy Julian, who you guys have seen during music streams, is the one with all the tattoos. He'll come up behind me and be like, dude, how do you do that? How do you explain stuff so well with passion? I guess it's something that I do, all right? But yeah, anyway. The thing, you know, the thing and the other thing and those things, they do stuff to that thing. If you replace thing with John, you can live in Philadelphia. These Johns and that Johns. Bull. So that one's interesting. I don't know if I can point to a specific place that I would want to influence that packet. F0, FFFFF, that seems kind of normal. And if we put stuff in this byte field, maybe 21, that's kind of getting up there, but I mean, that's not unreasonable. This one is possibly a less prominent one, and this is using a 16 byte frame. The 16 ones are, it's crazy. Wait, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's 8. The frames are either 2, 4, 8, and then I think there's 16 in the new LIN bus, but I think it's 2, 4, and 8. This one is one of the more promising ones. 3639. The return, what does our return packet look like? The one that we respond to. That song is going to be in my head for the rest of eternity. I'm going to plug in the Arduino, and that's going to power up our switch over here. Here, let's get this on camera. Let's get that on camera. I hate how washed out this is. It's because the camera's adjusting so that I can see this clearly instead of having it be all like shrouded in darkness. But I kind of would rather have it shrouded because it blows this up and makes it like looking at the sun. That's funny. I just replaced Daryl with Thing. Daryl? Was that a thing that people, that's how people talk? So this thing right here, we're able to communicate with it using the Arduino as it is right now. I have kind of a weird hacking engine hooked up to it right now where it's actually asking 01, and then this is 69. We've got the slider here. You can see the part of the packet that it's in. So 00, FC, FD, FF, FD, FF, and then we've got this thing. And the positions of stuff are described at 1-bit locations. So FC becomes FD. The different positions of the switch have different 1s and 0s that they affect. Even if it's a toggle switch, it just has 1s and 0s for the different settings. So something like, let's see, what would Couch Built have it on? Probably 0 headlights, and then this would be in some random orientation. So there would be a 2-byte field that would look something like FCFE that would describe the position of this switch, and then there would be a 1-byte field that would describe the position of the slider. Now the checksum also changes when I change it, so you see that last one will be changing. And they would probably have it turned all the way up, so it would probably look like an FD, because all the way up this thing is saying FD. And that's coming directly from BMW. So again, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Repair, a human programmed this, because it's from 2014, before AI became stupid. A human programmed this, so it's likely that the bytes that we're seeing are just shifted over into the CAN bus packet, right? Microcontroller's just going to say, okay, that was the position of the switch. I'm going to continue to tell CAN bus that that's what's going on until I get something back from the LIN bus that tells me different. Why would you cast it as anything else? I mean, we've got 8 bits of resolution on that knob. Why would you make it 16? That just means that every other signal coming in is the same as the previous one. So it stands to reason that they would be moving these bytes directly over. So if we have the knob in the all the way up position, which is where people typically leave it, I don't know if Couch Built likes to do things a little different. Maybe they like a little bit more of an atmosphere inside of their car. Maybe they're like, hey, we could chill a little bit about this thing, and they turn it down just a little bit, but it looks like we would be seeing FC, FE, FD. So we should pay attention to see if we see those numbers in any of these packets that we're getting periodically. It's not. I don't see it. It's not in any of them, is it? 390F. This would be, I mean, F0 is there. Just a little bit off of the top of that knob could be F0. So maybe that's the backlight right there. 0000 FFFF, I don't think I can achieve. We're looking at FCFE. 7CFF, perhaps? 7CFF is parking lights. I don't know. That's kind of a psychotic one. Nobody uses that. F-Zero was a fun game. Yes, it was. I like F-Zero. I haven't caught up with F-Zero. Auto is FCFD. They don't have the same car, so those sky's the limit. Any of that stuff could be described any which way. So BCFF, 7CFF, 363E, 474D, 4E42, 36393A, and those come in over and over again. 0F is a little bit from the bottom. So that's just barely from the bottom of the, if this thing is turned all the way down, perhaps, maybe this, the 2-2 is the backlighting. So that's 2-1 and 2-2. 2-1 is some kind of a chronological timer that's not like a packet number. And 2-2 has something that could be a headlight position, a switch position that maybe is translated, and a number that's sort of casually counting up. I don't think it would be casually counting up on this, though. Do 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 do. This one was FC00. It has 363E474D, so it is chronologically counting, as in it's not numbering. It's not plussing, it's looking at like between 36 and 3E is just the time code for the packet. We could just fool it and make it count up anyway. And then we have FF00 that turns into DC. 03 is just all Fs. So I'm not totally certain that 03 is it. 02 is, or sorry, 01 is our steering wheel. And that one, of course, has a packet number counter. Then there's a couple 3C and 3D frames that we're not going to touch, because I don't want to put this thing into programming mode by accident. That would be a disaster. If I was able to get this thing into like a software update mode, that would be a disaster. So we're not going to mess with the 3C and 3D. 2-1 and 2-2 are kind of our bread and butter. 2B is also, 2-1 and 2-2 are chronological. Sorry, chronological. They're sequential. The frame address is sequential. So that might be a TX and RX, because we found, the other piece of information that we have is we found somebody that hacked a water pump for a BMW. And the BMW water pump had a LIN bus address. It had two LIN bus addresses. One was a transmit, the other was a receive. So device 2.1 might reply with this packet, and it might be talked to by address 2.2. That might have nothing to do with us. I didn't look up the particular car that Couchbuilt was working on. I don't know what is also connected to the steering wheel LIN bus. I don't know what other devices are there. I guess we could look that up. I don't want to pull up that web page. It's a big confusing web page to look at. But that could tell us the other stuff that's on the, it might be that these addresses that are very low, your 01, your 02 and 03, because it calls for 02 and 03, but they're not present. See, it calls 1, 3, 4, 2, and 4 and 2 don't reply. They don't have any information. And then there it calls 13, 4 and 2 again, not replying, 4 and 2 again, not replying. Yeah, 360F, FF0036 again, FF. So yeah, that's what I've been looking at over the break. Over the break, by the way, I haven't had too much time to work on this stuff because we have a neighbor moving out, and I have a cocktail party to get to at literally my neighbor's house over there by the end of stream. So we gotta we got to be timely, but we only have a couple things we need to test. So if we fail, if we fail, we fail today, and we'll move on to other stuff. I will ignore. I'll maybe still work on this a little bit in the background, but I'm out of information until I can scan a car. You know, my information has run dry. All right, let's set up to test one of these. I kind of want to hit it with the 2B. And then DC, what does that look like again? Let me just pull up a binary table. So 11001101. So it'd be FF and then DC. I don't know. Actually, 22, I mean, 22 sounds promising. But we have a 21 and a 22. If we send it 22, and I just send it 360F, let's see what happens. We'll start here. So I am going to need to send out this information. Basically, I'm just going to hard code it. So we're going to go wherever this code had me. Yeah, here we go. Make packet is where we make the backlight packet. Backlight of 0. Backlight is there. And then the backlight, we're going to actually give it a fixed address. So headlight transmit, I have it 00 right now. And we're going to make that 22. Yeah, 22, and that's going to be 2, so it'll be a 3, size of 3. Good, that's backlight. And then we're going to get rid of the button change, so read switch. We're not going to do. Oh, but we want it to still send out the address, so we're still going to call the address and do the serial prints. But we're going to get rid of this ++. And get rid of the set to 0. This is just not, it won't do anything because we're fixed at 22. Yeah, bitget, get bits, headlight of I is equal to bitget, delay microseconds, and then if we're out of it, we return. Then when we make the packet, headlight of 1, and then we're going to hit it with, we'll start out by fixing it, and then I can have it react to the knob being moved. But if we fix it, maybe it'll come out with something. We'll fix it to a couple different addresses too. So we're going to send 360F. Oh, that's if headlight of 1 is equal to FC. Okay, so that's dependent on the position of this thing. So we can actually hit it with 2 different packets. So if that's FC and FD, then headlight of 0, backlight of 0 is equal to not headlight of 6. This is me moving information around. And that would be the opposite of it. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to hit it with 360F. So 0x36 and 3F. No, was that 0? That was 0F, wasn't it? How is it that I can... How can I mess that up so easily? 0F. 360F, and it's going to send that periodically just like it does with the steering wheel, and we'll see what's going on. Las Vegas vocalist says, greetings from Las Vegas. well, Pennsylvanian Philly guy says greetings from Philadelphia. It's like, and I'm wearing a Phillies cap, and I've got Gritty's behind me with a knife. It's like it's so locational. And then I guess, I don't know, if I flip the headlight switch, we'll send it the other packet, which is 3A0F. We'll change it to 3A0F. This is probably not going to do anything. 0x0f. So what we're doing is basically, depending on the position of this switch, we will send it a periodic packet that has a slightly different piece of information in it. And then we're going to manipulate that information to try to tell it to do something like light up. In which case, we would have two more states. So we can just program this all now so that it tests right. Backlight of 0, backlight of 1, and this can be 3B. And maybe this one will be 1. Because I'm basically, oh no, 0F, so this would be FD. Basically, I turn this one all the way up, and I keep meandering this one forward. This is making a lot of assumptions, so, you know, making an ass out of Yumi. So 3B, 7A. That's just a random large number. It's a cursed game of bingo. Yeah, it does sound like that, right? We're kind of just like throwing it up. We're throwing it up and seeing if it gets anywhere near the basket. So let's hit the Arduino with that. Backlight of 2 is the checksum. So I have this little checksum maker where we pass the address, the packet, and then the size of it. And this is known to make data that's good. We've been able to check our checksums against the actual device's checksums, and they match up. So we're able to do the math and get all those numbers correct. So let's send that to the Arduino. So these RP2040s working with the old Arduino IDE. Bother, why do you use the old Arduino IDE? I did because it was the thing that you would use on the Arduino when you directly take it out of the package. If you buy one of these, you would be programming with this IDE. I've done a couple little cursed things to my IDE. I made it sort of a graphite theme so that we weren't blowing out our retinas every time we open it up. I made the font size giant so that everybody could code along with me. I like the simplicity of it because it's like Notepad. Basically, if we keep things simple enough to be in that IDE, I don't end up confusing people. If you're doing like a multi-platform, multi-microcontroller project, Platform.io is probably the best bet. That has a bunch of weird proclivities to it that make things confusing to look at. I like things to be super simple, and we keep it super simple here, and I use the old Arduino IDE, and I kind of got used to it after a little while. So yes, I need to upgrade my IDE. I need to use more modern stuff. For now, I'm using what I know works. The RP2040, well, it's a Raspberry Pi device. It can do MicroPython. It can do all kinds of different languages. It also does happen to have an Arduino core that works with the old Arduino IDE. So that's what we're using. Maybe not ideal. Maybe I'm not optimized, but it is simple enough that we can kind of like muddle our way through it. However, there's a couple things that I need to make sure that I'm doing. Closing the serial port, pressing both of the buttons on the RP2040 and releasing reset and then boot. Now that I've done that, I click upload and it's going to take a calendar year to compile because it's Arduino, it's the old IDE, and that'll eventually make its way into the thing. One of these days I'll take an afternoon and I'll learn all the new stuff. I do have Platform.io. It's what I compile my insulin pump software in, and I need to update because all those updates are coming out. Before, what is it? October, I need to update. Expected semicolon before you gave me back shots. I mean backlight. I meant backlight. What came out of my mouth? I don't know what I said. It's just try to ignore me. Upload. Ba-na-ba-ba-ba, ba-na-na-na-na-na, da-da-da-da-da. I really wish I could send that music to Sark because I think he would love that. Or he already knows about that song and I'd just be annoying him. You never know with these folks. You never know. Also, he's been in the production environment for so long. Also, I would love to know if YouTube would copy strike that, because the only copy that I know of that song, it's like, it's a weird like YouTube thing. It's like a YouTube curated thing. Network Music Ensemble topic, and that's the only song in that topic. Industry and activity. Copyright 2011 network music. What? But the Network Music Ensemble is like a weird, it's like a weird non-channel. All right, anyway, let's go and take a look at what our serial printout's doing. This program will not run until I open the serial port. Okay, so we're sending it this. We're not getting any, our only feedback here is going to be whether or not this thing looks orange. So currently we're sending it, why are we getting different packets there? Why is that fluctuating? Is it because of this? No, that's not affecting it. This isn't affecting my baby. Why do we have so many? Here we're sending in all of our different things. Are we getting a response on 01? Oh, or is it just running through the different... Why are there two there? Why is there an 08 at the end? What's going on? What have I done? (3B FD). It's responding. Wait a minute, what is it responding with? Oh, let's stop that. (47 BC 0108). What? All right, stop scrolling. Are we like double transmitting? What's going on here? Backlight of 0, backlight of 1, and then we transmit, and then we give it a little bit of time. Let me turn on the scope so I can see what's going on here. It might be that the device is responding with this extra information, this stuff here, 470108. Because that would be a 2-byte packet. Is our device misinterpreting part of this address and then trying to reply and throwing it out here? Weird. 360F is one of them. 3B FD is what we're sending right now. If 7C and FF, so that's here, 7C and FF, and so we're sending 3B FD, but then we get BC or 470108, which would only be either an error in our device, or this thing is trying to talk to us again. Why would it do that though? Okay, and the packet's really stable. The packet's really super stable. What the hell's fucking what's happening here? Did we accidentally do a call for O2 when we did that, and then it's responding to that? Okay, and there's the weirdness. There's the data changing. And this doesn't affect that. If I push the button, nothing. Oh, the data changes. There's just like frame garbage at the end. What's going on with that? Oh, is there is that a variable that's in there, and then I'm sending more than I should because I'm calling for the wrong size. Address equals the parity of transmit error, that thing. So we add the parity to it, call it, send a break to back size. Bit send backlight of eye. Back size is probably in wrong. 5. Yeah, that's the problem. All right, so let's do over on the upload on that one. I have the wrong size in there, so the checksums wouldn't meet up and the device would get confused and ignore the commands that we're sending out. So we need to re-upload it. So doot. Scope is dead. Upload. And we wait. I'm going to be very surprised if this actually works. Domain expansion, infinite backshots. Welcome to my game of backshot bingo. Wait a minute. I meant backlight. I meant backlight. I said the wrong thing. I'm finished. Okay, so now we've written, and now we can pop in our serial. And now we have a checksum 360F, and then the checksum of that. Okay, so now we are functioning properly. We can observe whether or not the backlight turns on. It doesn't. These two would be the frames that would potentially tell it to turn on the backlight, but I do not see anything. It may be that this periodic communication is communication with another device on the bus. So O2 did not reply. And it didn't look like there was anything that was like a counter in there. So without getting more complicated, we can just say that we did not get a reply. Or sorry, wait. 01. 01 is the steering wheel. Wait, we got the wrong address. Why is it 01? Maybe because I'm resetting it. Yeah, TXADDY is 01. That should be... headlight TX. And that variable is not really needed. It's only needed if we're iterating the address. So, but I'll just put it in here. Okay, so programming code errors aside, I can close the serial monitor and do this again, do this little dance. Hello World is so important because it teaches you how to do the iterative software updates. Well, thank you guys for joining me for another afternoon of throwing signals at this device and seeing if it replies at all. We got that little tiny piece of information, and if we're clever enough, maybe we can get this thing to actually light up. I really hope that we can. We're going to keep at it for a little while here and see what we can get. It's just this is a little bit more cerebral than I would have liked it to be. I wish this information was a little bit more public. Now, if I could have if I had a mechanic buddy at one of the dealerships, I could ask them about this, and they could probably, if they were clever enough to know where to look, get this information for me. So nothing doing. What if we move this to the next packet? Oops, I skipped. Yeah, so it'd be here, and we'll go here, and we'll go here. That's where we give it different information. That would be a good opportunity for it to light up. We'll go there, just in case. That would be like a mid light up kind of thing. And we're getting information, we're sending information, and nothing is lighting up. Nothing is doing. Curses. Okay, so now we know that we are sending it the right information. We're sending it all the right packets with all of its right checksums at the end, and we're definitely sending it the information, and it's not responding to it. So that was that one. I fear that there may need to be a counter in some of these. There may need to be some kind of a counter. But for now, we're doing what's easy. So this did not do anything. So 2B 363E 474D 4E42. So it went down, and we have FFDC. So if we send it to B, that's going to make it a 4 frame. So we come down here, and that's going to be 5. And so back size is 5. And then we add 2 here. And then it's backlight of 5. So that's all of our packet size information. And now down here, we need to fill it up with info. Oh, our address is 2B. Here. I'm going to get rid of the parodied ones. We don't need that. I have a thing that calculates the parity for us. So close. I don't know. It's like, we could be very close. We could be very far. The only indicator that we get from this thing is this lighting up, and we have not seen that. So, and I don't know if I'm willing to call it close. This really did seem like it though, because it would periodically send it this thing, and this value is like kind of close to the previous one, and this one's kind of fixed. But we sent it 3639 with the 0F on it, and it didn't do anything, so I don't know. You know, like if we were able to send it a packet and I saw the backlight change, then we'd have so much more information. I don't know. We'll move on to 2B and just see what's going on. So we're flanked in Fs, and we've got 0 or DC, 363E, 474D, 4E42. So that's counting, I think. What if I put this one as the knob? So 2 is going to equal the knob. So backlight of 2 is headlight of 6. And it's FF 00 headlight FF. In this case, it was actually 00 or DC. And I'm putting this one to the knob so that if I move the knob in a direction, it'll count. Cheering you on, home slice anyway. That works. That works. Oh yeah, the glorps. I think I added glorp. Did I add glorp? I think I added glorp. How could one not? So 00 or DC. I really only want to test those first two. It was FFDC or 00. FF00. FFDC. These are just kind of throwaway. Okay, so that's just dependent on the position of the thing. It'll give me that packet. I can make a thing that'll count later. Need a glorp cheer? Maybe I can make something show up on screen. Okay, let's just try that. That's just a rudimentary thing. I don't know if it'll definitively tell us whether or not the backlight works, but maybe I can mess around with it and it'll do something. So serial part is closed. This, and then upload. See any errors that I've made. Where, oh where have I messed up my beautiful software? Yes. Huh, it worked. It's rare. All right, send it the information and no backlight. Although I don't know if the backlight was activated on their car, so it would stand to reason that if I'm counting it, something would happen. How else could I do this? I could, because if it's relaying, my one of the ideas for how this packet could be structured is that it would have the headlight mode and the knob position. The most simple implementation of this would be just for it to have one byte that represents the backlight. And if it's at FF, maybe it's off. And if it's at 01, it's on full brightness. And then the position of your headlight switch wouldn't really matter. But maybe it's possible that this thing is paying attention to the status of that packet to see where the headlight switch is and then turn on or off at that value. But that didn't work, so I don't know. And that's what it's supposed to look like, right? 2B, FF, DC, and then it would be 7C. DC, where 3.6 be like that. Would be what they had. And then FF. Yeah. Oh wait, why is there a trailing 00? Ah, where's my checksum? Oh. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. So that's one error. Maybe it'll come to life when I do this. Doot. And then upload. What's going on here? Oh, I need to close that. Oh no! My whole program. I did things out of order. This is gonna punish me. Please close. Please close. Oh no. I hit the wrong thing at the wrong time. That's the old IDE just can't handle it. We did this one time and it totally fucked up my USB. Uh-oh. My Stream Deck just flashed and my webcam just... No! I messed it up. I gotta restart Stream Deck. I gotta do all that stuff again. Okay, so let's go to face only. And I've got to there, deactivate, activate. Okay, that was quick. And then I got to restart Stream Deck. This is why I need a restart Stream Deck button. Everything's on the same USB and it can get very, very confused. Quit Stream Deck. I say quit. And then why did Stream Deck look different? I guess that started up. It just didn't have the logo on it. Okay, so there's that. And then what I can do is set up face procedure. It didn't do. Oh, I'll try it again. Well, stuff on the face cam did change. It's just weird that it didn't change it to... It should switch the scene over. Maybe the USB socket also messed up. Or the OBS socket also messed up. All right, so we did program our device. So I guess I can open up the COM port if it doesn't blow up my computer. Why is BB? Oh, because of that. No backlight though. Because it really should be prominent when it actually does activate. Darn. Yeah, so what our packet looked like was... so if we set it to the same thing, FFDC 47, and then I set 47... Ooh, 41 and 47 are so close. And then B0 is our checksum. So that checks out. That is the same packet. The steering wheel didn't have the backlight activated when they were testing it, which is unfortunate. I kind of wish they did. That way, if we gave it the exact packets, we could maybe see it light up. But if we get similar packets and I try to manipulate them, I'm not seeing light coming out of this thing. And maybe that one's a counter, and the 00 and DC are very far apart from one another. So if that would describe the brightness of the backlight, then the difference between 00 and DC, I mean, at least when I scroll through like this thing would interpret it as a counter, but it's not. It would light up, and it's not. Didn't work. So that's the steering wheel response. 03 is a weird one. Maybe we can manipulate the different bytes of 03. Let's try that one out. That's the last one we got. So time to retool and go to 03. So our address is 03. Our packet is 4, which is what we were working with anyway. So we don't need to change any of this stuff. And then we go down here and we do headlight of 6, headlight of 6, headlight of 6, and then headlight of 6, and then FF for all these other ones. This is where all of these sort of programs really help out, because we can just very quickly piece together our packets, and then I can control it with the controls. If it's anything more complicated than these, then I don't know how we're going to find it. I'll have to send CouchBuilt an email and say, hey, can I trouble you for like just a little bit? And they'll say, ha 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 ha. No. They'll do that. They sort of, ha 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 ha. Go fuck yourself. Now, they'll probably be pretty friendly, but I feel bad just cold calling for, hey, can you do a bunch of work for me? Because I don't know what else we can try. We'll do some soul searching in a minute. Okay, so basically the position of this headlight switch will determine what piece of the packet we are injecting this knob position into. It's possible when they're all F, that means that the backlight's off. Since this is coming out as 1 byte, I'm going to keep it as 1 byte. Because it doesn't stand to any reason why they would want to manipulate it beyond that. I know, like, they're very hoity-toity and you know, pompous, pretentious Euros that are programmed, oh, we are going to program this card to be the best. But I don't think they're going to cast it into a 16-bit integer, you know? So it's probably going to be 1 byte field that describes whether or not the backlight is on. I fear that the position of this thing is also being communicated, but it's not on CouchBuilt's car. It was set to FF. So I don't know. Let's just, it could be more, it's probably going to be more complicated than that. There's probably one of the bytes that's just going to count, right? Because that's what it does when the steering wheel replies. They have a count byte in there. So it's possible that I need to have an 8-bit counter moving at the same time and have that go into one byte field and the other byte field be the backlight amount. But we tried something that mimicked that, so I don't know. Serial port's closed. Hit this, let go of that, let go of that. And then supposedly we're ready to go. I hit upload. What is my blood glucose level doing? I know there's a button for it. I just don't remember where it is. Tech, chat, cache chat, game PC, technical. No, I guess I don't have a button for it. I just have a thing that I can activate here. No, that's not the one. No. Blood glucose. There it is. 210. I had a burger. Oh, it's written. Doink. Why is there so much info? Oh yeah, that's the right stuff. Dun 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 dun. Wait, oh, where's the you know, that's a little annoying to look at with that extra light on. So let's go back to. There we go. So it's that second, the TX that we're looking at, that we're changing, and we're looking to see if this thing lights up as a result. First bite, nothing. Come on, not even a nibble. Shart. Now, that was the one. That was the one that I was hoping would really work. I was hoping it would be simple. It was supposed to work. It wasn't supposed to not work. Damn it. We got nothing else to try. Wait, transmit is 03. Wait a minute. Why are we transmitting 03? We should be sending 3B. No, that is 03, isn't it? Isn't it? He's right behind me, isn't he? Yeah, it's 03 is correct. Darn. So what the heck? It would be a more periodic signal. What does the backlight signal look like on CAN bus? That might give us a little bit more information. Let's see what it looks like on CAN bus. I liked that turnaround, you know, of the trope. That was from The Amazing Digital Circus, which is getting a theater release, which means that for 2 weeks, we have to all put our heads in the sand because there's no fucking way I'm going to a theater. There's no way. Especially not filled with a bunch of The Amazing Digital Circus fans. I don't want to listen to things that they'll blurt out in the middle of a theater. I'm too poor for that shit. Some people are too poor. I'm just way too lazy. I think what the inevitability of that, because there's a whole controversy. You guys don't know. The Amazing Digital Circus is this wonderfully funded and produced independent cartoon from Glitch Studios and Gooseworks, who's the creator, and it's sort of an I have no mouth but I must scream sort of thing, but it's taken into sort of a 90s era Trapper Keeper style art. That sort of 3D art of that era is influential to the entire look of the show. It's colorful and has a bunch of shapes, and so people think it's for kids, but the themes are like existential science fiction dread, the dread of going nowhere. And it's I have no mouth but I must scream, but it's for like a modern audience. And it's comedy, and it's great. It's really funny. They did the reverse of the trope of you're right behind me, aren't you? Or he's right behind me, isn't he? Just as a silly joke in there. The rise of this cartoon is such that Glitch was able to fund a theatrical release, which is crazy. The last time I remember something like that going to theaters, I was wandering around the King of Prussia Theater, and somebody had rented out one of the theaters to show the Firefly movie at like a 5-year anniversary of Firefly. They didn't even have a label in the theater label, and you look inside and there are people like, was that somebody cosplaying Mal? And yeah, just wonderfully nerdy thing. This is back when nerds weren't cool. Nerds are much cooler these days, but the Amazing Digital Circus is getting this theatrical release 2 weeks ahead of time. And that's a thing that the theaters wanted to do because they don't understand how sort of like modern YouTube releases work, and they understand things as sort of the way they release it. So they wanted months early, and Glitch negotiated it down to like 2 weeks. The problem is we are in a sort of like modern YouTube realm here. So the second that that gets released, one of these YouTubers is going to go watch it, and they're going to make a thumbnail that spoils everything that was shocking about the end. There's a lot of directions that this show can go, and it's probably going to go in a pretty logical direction. Tweets from the creator have sort of hinted towards it being a little bit more of a like, let's fucking go send it kind of thing, where they get experimental, and I'm there for it. I love weird stuff. Problem is, anything shocking that's in there it's going to get spoiled. And I, as a creator, when I first decided to start like actually making videos and people were watching them, I figured, what's going to happen is that all my moderators and myself are going to get spoiled on everything. Snape kills Dumbledore, it's just going to go and go and go because people like to push buttons, right? As a moderator, as a creator, you're just going to get spoiled with everything. The journey is the spoilers. Yeah, I'm so sorry if 20 years you've avoided spoilers. It's just going to happen, right? I will almost instantly know all the spoilers for that because I'll accidentally click on something, and it's just going to happen, right? It's just going to happen. So in that vein, I'm probably going to actually download some kind of a cam rip that's going to be hateful to watch, but I'll be able to see the content and not have to curate my own internet experience, because The Amazing Digital Circus, if you didn't know about it, you've probably seen some of the memes that came out of the last episode that came out. That was everywhere. It just flooded every single space, not even restricted to that indie animation. So that's going to happen. It's going to happen. That's just going to happen. And like, look, it's super cool for Glitch to do a theater release. That's a huge thing to do for independent animation. It's been paved, the way of that's been paved by like, the Markiplier film and all that stuff. All the YouTube spillover into Hollywood has been really, really cool. And it's sort of getting with the times. This is not of the times, having that sort of distance between a theatrical and because you're going to get, even if they both came out at the same time, you're going to get the people that want the theater experience going to the theater, and they're going to get that experience. Well, it's cool. It's a really fun time. You get to see a bunch of cool people, and everybody's like, shouting and having a good time. That's awesome. The people who want to watch it when it comes out aren't going to be able to. They wouldn't have gone to the theaters anyway. So you're going to have 3 days of this thing being a phenomenon. And then the rest of your 2-week period, it's going to be just complete. It'll rally on the weekend. The second weekend, it'll rally, but then nothing. So 2 weeks, I can understand the capitulation. I just wish it was one. All right, GWS shifter, transmission, DME engine. None of these are the signal that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a backlight command. So BMW F10 CAN bus ambient lighting. How does it go with the backlight hacking? It goes for the jokes that were being made just now. I don't want people to be without knowing context of the jokes. And the jokes was The Amazing Digital Circus. And then I had to do the rant about the theatrical release because it is controversial. Ambient light sense sets, no. Ambient light kit. CAN bus LED interior light kit. I don't know about that. What is that? These are just compatible. Oh, Google's pretty bad, huh? BMW F10 CAN bus addressee. That's wiring in GitHub. Oh, that's to use a cluster. That's fascinating. Oh my God, AI is trying to like sneak it. It's trying to like wedge itself in here. Automatic BB is effective against pest. What? Isn't it almost better to replace the innards of the component and read this stuff from there? Yes, I mean, I could replace the microcontroller and use my own. I could do that. I wanted to do it this way, though. Hold on, hide the scope. Doink. Planted new seeds and I'm protecting them. What? You've got like a turret guarding your garden? When I bought my Nissan Rogue, I could buy a tunable color LED option to replace the standard white LEDs on the internal highlight LEDs. In 2014, I'm not sure BMW was doing that. Maybe on the super duper models. Reading the BMW CAN bus USB to CAN custom. See, this is like AI is trying to answer the questions too. Our question is too weird for it to understand. Okay, I've got too many windows open. Yeah, this is the pump. This is the LIN bus pump. 26 and 25. So 25 is the control, or was the information channel. 26 is the control channel, which makes you think the other ones are kind of similar. Kasumar, what are we talking about? Worm cheese, yeah, that's my brain. Oh, that's that maggot cheese where it's like absolutely disgusting. I've seen that stuff. And you have to be sure to chew it fully or else you get infected. Ugh. Study showed the other day that googly eyes in a lunchbox toward the birds. I have had troubles with a robin that's pooping on my car. It has been pooping on my car currently, and I keep cleaning it off. It's a good excuse for me to use my power washer. The power washer barely gets the... I need a power washer and like a little scrub brush. But the problem is, no matter what I do, the bird keeps returning. People say to put plastic bags on the mirrors, but the bird sits on the mirror. So it would probably just sit on the plastic bag on the mirror and then poop itself crazy. And I also don't want plastic bags over my mirrors because it looks hideous and trashy. And other cars in the area have also had trouble with this. There's a whole car hacking sub. I wonder if I should search the car hacking sub. Instrument clusters to a computer for the purpose of playing games. Oh, there you go. That's the one. Working on F-Series clusters as well. Would be happy to swap info on PT-CAN. Why DM? Put it here. Put it out here. There's already a program that does this. Oh, and guess what information they keep secret so that you buy their program. Been done for quite a few clusters for BMW. It's mostly E-Series, F-Series. There was a website that had a lot of these CAN bus messages. CAN bus ID, our CAN bus. We're DIY, access CAN BMW 328i 2013, so it's probably about the same. I don't know. Okay, why are you replying? Here for E46. E46 might be a little bit too early. That's cool. Love all the car hacking. Wish the information was easier to get. Yeah, but I was saying I'm probably going to get a cam rip of that theater release, and then it's going to be a terrible time watching it, but then I'll at least know. And then when the YouTube video comes out, I'll watch it a couple times. All right, so that's not as much information as I would have liked. I want a big table of values. E46 pretty old. BMW has since changed the CAN format considerably. Yeah, see, that's what I was worried about. Okay, so this is not good information. CAN bus ID log. Everybody's asking for logs, and they're like, yeah, I'll DM you it. You can try to ask in Telegram chat. I think they take the information down. Car companies. Feels a lot like XKCD 979. Which one's 979? Oh yeah, I fixed it. What did you fix? Tell me. Everybody has a car they can just monitor for all these packet thingies. Professional gatekeepers, I know. Was that the PS2 port? I don't think so. Eat the bird. There's nothing I can do, man. The bird has, millions of years of evolution pumping its hormones through its little tiny bird brain and making it basically square up with something that's like the size of a Titan. It's like, I can't win. All I can hope is that the bird's reproductive cycle is so interrupted by my car mirrors that it is no longer evolutionary preferable to be so fucking aggressive around my car. The next generations of this bird's family should pay heed. I don't think any of this is the right stuff. I'm also not searching it very sincerely. I probably could find this information if I get a little bit more serious about getting a good search on this. Because like for the shifter thing, we had where is that? Over here. We have like some limited pieces of information from this write-up. There's probably other places where I can get more information. There's a what was it? It was a GitHub project that had all these different makes and models and the different CAN bus stuff. I was looking for backlighting on it. I don't think I found it. The bird's flown around on the planet for 1 million years and its ancestors, you mean? And only in the last 200 has it been able to see its own reflection, yeah. Unless it sees it in like, a waterfall. Lace a grape with tobacco. No, there's so many. I'm not going to kill the animal. Birds will eat grapes. Birds' repellent is super concentrated grape smell. The birds eat the fruit because it has natural yeast on it and it ferments in their stomachs, and then they get drunk and then they start fucking squaring up against my car mirror and pooping all over the place. Very similar to my own Saturday nights, but it's somehow not funny when my car is involved in the pooping. Just drug it. No, I'm not doing all these cursed things. I don't want to kill a bird. Otherwise, I'd stand out there with a tennis racket. All right. So, I need to find what that backlight packet looks like in the rest of the car. My tools are not as comprehensive in terms of searching and stuff. I'm having a little bit of trouble finding information. It's possible that there's something like this video where they go over all the hacking and stuff. I'm disappointed that the periodic frames that I got out of this video do not in any way describe a backlight. That we can like figure out. We've sort of pumped the packets into the system. This is the steering wheel packet, so I don't have to do anything with that. It seems like 01, 02, 03, 04. Those are probably the LIN bus like devices that need to send stuff back, right? Shit on the bird. That would be elaborate, and maybe we can make it work. I would have to get very creative. I mean, we sent it everything but 21, and I really don't think... I think 21 and 22 are one device. The reason that I think that is because with the BMW water pump LIN bus hack, the addresses were right next to each other, and they were in the 20s. So 21 and 22 could potentially be some kind of a device that does a thing. Why that would be on the steering wheel cluster is beyond my reckoning, but it seems like that might be a device that you could both get information and send information to. And this would be it sending information to, this would be it getting various statuses from. That would be in line with how this thing is structured. And we played with it a little bit, but we didn't get anything to light up on the button cluster. And when we hit the address that's adjacent to what this thing responds to, we sent a bunch of different packets on the adjacent address. This didn't light up. I don't think you have to call for an individual device to light up if it does something that's a little less of a global function. If it's something like a window motor, you would probably have one address to say what the current, what the current draw voltage blah 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 is, and then you would have another address to say, hey, roll that thing forward or whatever. Man, this is turbo annoying, isn't it? This is super annoying. I've got all of my stuff working. We have a log of the steering wheel, but we don't have anything in here that we think we can affect properly in order to make that light up. All of the searches are pretty much useless. If I look up BMW F10 backlight LIN bus, this is a unique string of words that comes up with almost nothing functional in Google. Mostly it's people diagnosing CAN bus problems. More results, it's one. I've this F10 BMW with LIN error. So there's all the diagrams. TMS modules don't show in tree. They aren't part of group FRM. What? Okay, thank you. And they have an error message. COM fault. And it's just nothing. Just nothing afterwards. This is exactly what I got when I emailed my car buddies. I said, hey, I'm having this trouble with LIN bus. I was wondering if any of you guys have any information, knowing what you guys know about BMWs. And I got nothing. I get nothing. I get no information back. It was even solved. Oh, please. Oh, please. I'm not a robot. Look at me. I age. All right. I've had some issues. Okay, we got a fault. I've had LIN bus errors on Angel Eyes. Those are the headlights. Remove the headlight twice. Dried them. Why were they wet? Use compressed air, blah, blah, blah. Did you resolve your... Hi, did you resolve your problem? Nothing. Did I not say that information was scarce? Yeah, most of these are broken wire faults and stuff like that. Or flooded headlights that break. We have the LIN bus communications overview. That one's a trap. They don't give you any more information than basically, here's the topology of what it looks like. And it's like, okay. Like, LIN bus is a communication protocol that allows communication between... It's just that information again. Yeah. There is nothing. Of course, I am limiting myself to F10. BMW ambient lighting, maybe? LIN bus frame. Illuminated sill trim, a LIN bus device controlled by what? Okay, that's getting a little bit more specific. Are the illuminated sill plates on the front LIN bus devices dumb LED? Number 5, front diagram below, found the replacement. Instructions in ISTA, so that's the programming software. I believe that ISTA communicates via CAN bus, so it's probably sending a command that does a diagnostic for the LIN bus as well to set things up. It's like asking about a specific hot water problem and the thing telling about how the hot water heater works. Yeah, a hot water heater is installed in a household in order to provide... the pipes are run this way, and it's like, that's not what I'm asking. BDC and LEM module schematics, but the only find lighting. I need to replace one of the front drivers, etc., etc., etc. You know, if you have that whole packet of ISTA and INPA, there are like step-by-step instructions on how to do these things. You can just look that up. Functional description. Various systems use the backlighting of the door sill cover strip. Various systems. Blah, 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 blah. This is not quite what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is like deeper level hacking that I think I'm finding everywhere. That's what people are trying to keep their cars running. Ista sounds like a gotcha word. Ista is, it does stand for something, but I think it's in German. Those are those German programs. Bimmerfests, they can sometimes get pretty deep into the technicals, but I don't know if they are. Ambient lighting. I have a 2017 G12 740. Ambient lighting only works on the passenger front seat and door. Just check your wiring. Please check your wiring. Just check your wiring. Nobody's going to talk about packets. Oh my God. You literally read my mind. No, he figuratively read in literal. Okay. Close that. Not working on driver's side. Ambient lighting not working. When does the panoramic Sky Lounge LED roof turn on? What the hell? LED lighting. Oh, here come the hovercrafts. Oh no, that's actually an airplane that's vibrating the whole house. LED door sill colors. Now, information source on KCAN bus. Wake up, terminal status frames. Wait, where'd you get that? F30. What the fuck? Why am I getting CPAP? Wait. Wait. Oh, there goes all of my Amazon search is gonna be for, there's BMW part. Why was it all CPAPs? Why don't you get some oxygen? Your dumb brain won't ask stupid questions. F30 is, of course, after my car, but still. See, here's ignition on, power off. Those are CAN bus signals. That's your sign. There's talk about me having to do a mouth guard at night because I grind my teeth. That's what the dentist was saying. I was like, look, I used to chew gum as a kid, so I had an amazing jawline, and I drive in Philadelphia, so obviously my jaw is clenched. So that's had a detrimental effect on the sharpness of certain of my teeth. So I may have to do the mouth guard thing. You can use at least an Arduino Uno with a CAN shield to make your own module, which starts to send the ID 12F. Wait a minute, now we're starting to get into the, what is, wait, whoa. Newer BMW seats into an older car. Oh, okay, so that's essentially, so this is like essentially kind of what we're doing. Sleep apnea. I had a CPAP for a little while. I took it apart. The fan is going to go into the 3D printer, so I have a quiet fan. I probably should look into getting one again, though. I don't know. If I lose weight, I think I'll solve a lot of my problems, and I'm slowly losing weight. So I'm going to keep doing that, and maybe that'll solve my sleep apnea. I have not been sleeping well lately. I need to get back on that. CAN receivers, part number blah, made by NXP. It has a sleep mode to prevent battery drain. When it gets a valid T-dominant CAN signal, it enables 5-volt DC regulator. So this person is getting well into the weeds for somebody who's installing a module into an old car. You can get a 1 kilohertz sine wave generator and plug that into the CAN bus, and it'll keep the seat alive. But they happen to give us some information, and I don't know where that's coming from. Excuse me if you guys heard that. I hope you didn't hear that. Try to mute if I'm making tummy noises or burping. I'm not one of those streams that'll blow up your subwoofer burping. Privately DM that guy. Maybe. K-Bus, aka K-Line, is used in older cars, but it's a different thing. K-Can, what's your older car? Oh, come on. Programmable microcontroller, programmed to send CAN frames. I have done some CAN frame reading from my F30, and they've got a link there to CPAP machines. That's probably the forum highlighting that. And you need a specific frame that wakes up the seats for any other module connected to the bus. What are your requirements? Do you need to wake up the seat modules? Frames, engine running, ignition on. F30, another terminal status frame, power off, ignition on. radio on, ignition on. Now, F0, FC, FFFF. Okay, quote, can you move? F0, FC. Wait, what? Oh, 1, 0, 1, and 5. What is that for? Yeah, these are broadcast by the main module. Engine running is this long one, 8DD F1 153002. And ignition on. I'm wondering if we set... Who does he know? No, he scanned his own car. But these aren't these looking kind of a little bit familiar? Aren't these looking a little bit familiar? F0, FC. Yeah, by the way, Kisa, have you seen Monkey Wrench yet? That's the one that I should recommend. I think I've already poured over that independent animation, YouTube independent animation on the channel. Oh, check it out. It's like consistently number 3 behind the other big names. But it's not popping off the way that it really deserves to. It's a little bit more like Saturday morning cartoonish. Like Earthworm Jim meets Cowboy Bebop. All right, so these look a little familiar. Like 21 looks a little familiar. Yeah, check that out. Let me know what you think. 8ADD, F1. I mean, mainly it's these, the F0, FC, FFFF. But I would expect that to carry the data, whereas this status code 0, 1, and 5. Well, would that mean that that would be per address? LINBus is a little bit more limited in its space, but if O3 is being sent, could it actually be the combo of 2 of these that we're looking for? If I'm looking for a car is in the on position, headlight is in the on position, that would turn on the backlight. And then we'd have to send it some kind of a slider position. This is, I think, why I need to scan a car specifically where it's the headlights are off and you turn them on. You know, ignition off, turn the ignition on, turn the headlights on, do this. That would be the whole scan, and then I'd be able to get all the pieces of information that I need. I'm wondering if our backlighting is looking for a couple different things to be true instead of just knob position. At this point, I believe you dream Lin packets, you know? There's something to be said. If I had the budget to just go rent cars, I would get this information in an afternoon. I could be a little like used car lot goblin. Hey, can I test drive this one? And by test drive, I mean stick a screwdriver in the steering wheel. Yeah, without logs from cars. Hey, anybody who's got like a slightly older BMW out there, man, you know, wanna spend 15 minutes with a laptop for me? I don't know if you can get LINBus logs from. These are CAN bus though. I'm just looking at CAN bus to see if it inspires LINBus in any way, shape, or form. And with CAN bus, you send out an entire packet that says whether or not the engine's running, whether the power's on or off, whether the radio's on. So 01 goes to 0, 00 goes to 01, goes to 05. It's a 3-thing address, so I don't know what this means. Oh, F30, another terminal status frame. 130, it broadcasts 00, F0, FCFFFF. Do we see something like that? I mean, yeah, kinda. Like, what if that's the ignition status? Any of these could be it. Like, if that's the status, oh, 3. But then if that were the status, then this would work. If I put it in this one, like 1 or 2, and then this would light up. But it may need more information than that. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. God, that's hard to do. Come on, buddy. Go to 3. Ah! I can't get it to go to 3. It's too sensitive. Of course, that I may need to still manipulate something else to get it to think that it's in. I can program that real quick. So if we're in that one, then we're going to hit this one with and then I'm going to give this to the next one in line, just as kind of a Hail Mary. Actually, we're gonna make that part of the control. I don't know. I told it to work. Yeah, right? Yeah, that's just a repeat. So, okay, that's basically describing what I want to do, is take it from 03 and assume, I'm just assuming that that's what those packets do. Oh, good, I did have the serial monitor closed. I almost destroyed my USB stack again. It's very annoying because I'm very free to kind of throw around these packets and sort of author whatever kind of a signal I want to send out, and it works, and it's working within the system really nicely, and I can kind of do this stuff on the fly, test it real quick, but there's not enough information out there for me to actually get any of this stuff to function, which is very, very annoying. If there was a little bit more information, if somebody had done a very similar project, then I might be in luck. So here we're sending it the O3, and I'm just manipulating a different part of the packet each time, because I have a feeling this thing looks to see if the ignition is on or not. The other way that they get around this stuff, the other way that they manipulate stuff like this is by looking at the microcontroller itself and getting a hex dump, and then you reverse engineer the microcontroller. I'm not going to do that, man. I'm not going to do that. There has to be a way to get this. I mean, we know the way to get this information. I'm 1,000 different ways. I am simply only describing the need for me to take a laptop to somebody's car and get whatever software logs this stuff, which I may already have on there, in order to get a readout like this into Excel, and then just take a look at the packets and go, there it is. There's where I'm moving the knob up and down. Here's where I change the key to the on position. BMW LIN bus key on. The key feature of the LIN bus on the BMW F10. Yeah, nobody's talking about it. My streams will come up if I go through too many results, which is an unfortunate thing. We've gotten really far with this. I've gotten to the point where it actually is functional. So this one is using an oscilloscope to see the waveforms on the car. And I could probably take a look in there too, but coolant pump, communication overview, don't want that. LIN bus diagnostics, don't want that. That's just a general how-to. Tapping into your car's LIN bus. Oh no, there's no information here. Okay, okay, please go away. That's the last thing that I need is CAN bus. CAN shield, K-bus, physical details. So look at this stuff till you're blue in the face. Yeah, they're just going to tell you to log it yourself. Really, get it yourself. Darn. Well, it sucks for us. LIN bus logs. Could try BMW. Oops. BMW LIN bus log. We get all the same results, huh? Shut the hell up, AI. I hate you. I hate you so much. Okay. Diagnosing networks. At a loss of what to do in LIN bus. Brought it to my local shop. They ran the scans. No, it's not nearly what we're doing. This is going to be the last one where we go over LIN bus. I thought this might be a little shorter, but a lot of this stuff is just the general how-to. It's like, you can see what kind of packets are on the bus, instead of like, we scanned and here are the packets. I have the same thing for the Mercedes, but even less information, which I'm really disappointed about. You know what? Before we end, I just want to check to see if there are LEDs inside of the steering wheel. I want to check to see if there are LEDs inside of the steering wheel. This is stuff that I need to look at, and I've been looking at this stuff for like a month. I feel that I know more about LIN bus than any singular person on the planet that doesn't have a massive NDA and a squad of lawyers standing right behind them. My lawyers are behind me, aren't they? But what I want to do is I want to take some of this stuff off of the steering wheel and just check to see if there are backlights on it. Because if this is not backlit, then we only have to worry about the BMW. So what I need to do is get this cowl off, this thing that I've sprayed and scanned so many times. I have a good enough scan of this thing that maybe I can, if I get better at 3D modeling, I can do an airbag cover. It would be fun to put a little screen in here too, but then I'd have to use LIN bus to communicate with it. But it could have statuses on it and stuff. Okay, so yeah, let's just take this off. And so I need Torx bits. What the heck? Solid Electronics. There's a name, but I have not heard in a little bit. How you doing? I haven't caught a stream in a while. Good to see you. Hey, I really appreciate the subscription. That would be, let me just take a look over here. 35 months. That's a big number, and hey, thank you. Yeah, we've been going back to the LIN bus stuff, the LIN and CAN bus, because I want the steering wheel setup that I'm building into a much larger thing. My brother dropped a car seat off here, so I've got an entire BMW F10 car seat. So instead of having the setup clamped to the side of a table and be at a weird height, instead it's going to live there and be at a weird height with motors that can adjust the position of the wheel and the seat. And so right now I am in the preliminary stages of testing out what CAN bus devices I'm going to have. I wanted to have a lineup of a couple CAN bus devices and have them speaking into Node Red so that we could get some real car parts to communicate. And I figured it would be good to change pace a little bit. So we went back to LIN bus, which we've done a lot of hacking in. I sort of took some of my old routines out of the brain of the old simulator setup, and we set up a little CAN bus hacking on an RP2040. These things are nice and fast, so we were able to actually get communication on the LIN bus. We're able to get the frames out of the steering wheel to get the status of the buttons, and we were able to also get the headlight switch cluster of a BMW F10. Because again, in a real car, that's what you would use to turn on and off the headlights. And I think it's super cute if I have the ability to turn stuff on myself. Now, if if this is in like an airplane sim, I will be able to reassign this to do things that I want it to do, like, you know, interior lights and stuff like that. I can have it do that, or I can have it control something physical. I could have this button turn the shop lights on and off if the scheme that I'm coming up with works. I think it will. It depends on whether or not the Raspberry Pi is super duper duper snappy with its packet manipulation. How did this come off again? I think it just pops off. Nah. That song is so stuck in my head. It's ridiculous. Yeah, there we go. Just kind of. And then this comes with us. Actually, I'm going to unplug it from the other end. Oh no, I have to unscrew it from the other end. So just unplug. Ow. These unkind car plugs. Now these are the reason that I can't just replace the brain of the steering wheel. I can, I don't want to, because of these things. Okay, come on. Yeah, these are very annoying to unplug. Okay. So I want to take a look inside and see if there's no backlight, then I'm not going to turn it on, or I'm not going to bother with the Mercedes stuff. I don't have to rent a car to make these things actually light up. They're all Torx, the whole thing, every single screw. The reason I bought this wheel was because it had an up, down, right, and left button, and I figured that would help me do stuff like navigate game menus. I could basically assign it to arrow keys. Arrows. Okay, almost there. I'm sort of annoyed that people haven't been hacking cars in the way that I like to hack cars. You have all of these $20 parts all over the market, and they're not doing anything with them. How do you unplug? Just violence. Excuse me. Okay, so. We got the buttons. It's its own little device. It takes a bunch of pins in, and it basically does a matrix, I believe is what we found. So I'm going to get these 3 bolts out, and we'll take a look at what's inside. And I'll see whether or not backlighting was ever an option with the steering wheel. I am annoyed that the simple stuff didn't work. Wait a minute, that's out of order. One goes there. And then that's the one that we have, and then I need this one. Smaller Torx bits. Even smaller, wow. This thing's tiny. Okay, one more. Oh, it's already starting to rattle around. All right. What you got for me, Mercedes? Whoa. Wait, there's like transistors and stuff on this thing. What the heck? That is way more complicated than it has any right to be. And a lot of pins. Hey, presto. There are backlights. We got back shots. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. So there is going to be a command on the LIN bus that this thing will listen to, and the steering wheel itself will light up. I didn't remember whether or not it actually had backlighting, and it does. So if I hit this thing, I don't know where the terminals are on this. Okay, your metal disc is just going to interfere. So it'll light up yellow. A nice soft yellow for all of your buttony needs. It's Mercedes. I mean, of course they're going to go well beyond any sort of reasonable amount of effort to have lights in their buttons. There's a piece of plastic. I don't know where that piece of plastic is. I hope I didn't break something. But yeah, they've got your typical snap dome, but it's like deconstructed to be a hoop. And I mean, the buttons feel pretty good. They feel like buttons, but like you've got a solder bridge that you could short it out with. What the? That's a solder bridge, or maybe that's a capacitor. Choices were made. Yeah, they were like, let's do the expensive thing. But sir, we could just decide like an offset button. No. It has to be centered. You could do domes like this and put an LED to the side as long as you did light piping correctly. But they decided to have it go straight shot down the middle. And let's see, can we get this membrane out of here? This membrane is obviously going to give a rubbery feel to the buttons. It'll also protect them when you spill soda on your steering wheel, because all those AMG drivers with their sodas. You are not drinking a soda, you are driving a car. No cup holders. 9. Okay, so we got a rubbly membrane, and then we have lenses integrated into the rubbly membrane. Are you fucking kidding me? Why would you do that? Everything Mercedes is so this is so expensive. What are they doing? I saw a YouTube clip talking about those gaps and how they're over voltage protection features. Oh yeah, static electricity mitigation. Yes. I guess that makes sense. Sometimes you do like onboard capacitors and stuff by having these sort of little gaps, but these we have seen in other devices, and I guess they're not solder jumpers, although they're convenient if you need them. But yeah, what they're doing is they're setting up a sort of pseudo capacitor and or a spark gap, so that if you happen to hit one of your buttons with enough static electricity, maybe that'll protect some of the internal electronics. But as soon as I saw these transistors, I said, oh man, there's backlights local to this, because I guess there's probably like a power in and then a trigger for these. Yeah, so when you have buttons like this, typically you would have each individual piece of the button would retract itself so that everything retains the feel. In this case, they have sort of a big plastic carrier, and if you shine light into that, it says, okay, it'll light up. So that's just a big old chamber so that your LED, this distance is just so that the LED can diffuse. And then here you have your rubbly button feel, and then the clickiness is provided by this thing clicking over. But we got an LED in the center. So yeah, we're still in hell. This means that we remain in hell, because I don't know what signals to send this microcontroller in order to get it to light up. Obviously, I could just put my own microcontroller in the wheel and get it to light up. The scheme for the matrix of the buttons, it's a little weird. I remember going through it and going, this is not happening. I'm not doing this. so I'm not going to be doing that, but we at least know that there are LEDs behind all this stuff. So I'm going to leave the LIN bus aside for some other time, until I get another nugget of information from something. I don't know where I'm going to be able to do that. I don't know where I'm going to be able to get that information from. I can't exactly find an S-Class sitting around, you know. I could go to Cars and Coffee with a laptop, but those guys want to talk to other car guys. They don't want to sit there and let me noodle around with their bus systems in their car. Try to find a neighbor that has one. Hey, can I work on your car for like 2 hours? That's really putting pressure on being nice to your neighbors. I'm really stress testing that system. Do you see yourself as a good neighbor? Would you allow your neighbor to come over and fondle your balls a little. I mean, mess with your car for a little bit. Just kind of, just mess with it. You won't understand what I'm doing. I have to take the airbag out and turn on your headlights. Maybe tweak a couple things here and there. I don't think they would allow me to do that. Yeah, sure. Go at it, kid. Shoot your shot. I do have a neighbor that has a newer BMW, but I don't, it's one of the ones where like the whole dashboard's a screen. So I don't think that's really going to give me the right information. BMW is a little easier than Mercedes. Long as it still starts and drives, you can take that airbag, you can pee on it, I don't care. No, they're not going to be like that. They're not going to be like that. These old people in this neighborhood, some kid with a laptop. By kid, I mean me. I'm not a kid. Okay. And then this one. Beat them up. That's true. Just reach into their car as they drive by. I gotta make that game somehow. I'm not good at games. Making games. My ghost, it would be one of those like job sims. You'd be like a crypt keeper or something. But then one of the ghosts calls you an asshole and you just get pissed off and you go, that's enough! And then it becomes a brawler where you basically are just beating the living shit out of a bunch of ghosts. Like different ghost tropes. There would be like your typical like translucent ghost, but it turns out you just grab it and start strangling it and you're actually able to. You just start beating the shit out of all these ghosts. And I'd have to have like environmental objects. You could like toss it in the dumpster or like bash its face against the door frame. Oh, I love that so much. Just at the beginning point of the game when things are starting to get into the swing of one of these like chore-y kind of like, oh, I gotta go check this room at the hotel. But then just as things start to coming to a head and you're like, oh damn, I've definitely got a lot of ghosts going on here. It suddenly becomes a brawler. I'm not taking your shit no more, ghosts. Get over here. But you wouldn't tell anybody? You would just have like a fighting tutorial come up? I would need to have like a lot of fighting moves if I were to be happy with it. And they'd need to be absolutely brutal. Like the comedy is in how utterly brutal it is. That's really the joke. And just unrelenting, violence. This screw's not going all the way in. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, there we go. Okay, that wasn't seated properly. Maybe that was it. Probably not, but it might have been. Oh yeah, there we go. That was it. Weird. That's weird. Yeah. Because last night I was watching Sark play one of these like job/ghost simulator things, and it was actually a really good one because you were you're a locksmith, and so you had to like take the tumblers out of locks and like code them properly and put the right little pins in the locks to make them work. But all the while you're getting antagonized by more and more like ghost activity. So like the lights turn off, you have to go turn on the lights, or a door opens, you have to close the door, or a car alarm goes off, you have to turn off the car alarm by going up to the car and turning it off, stuff like that. But I was thinking like, what if this came to a head and you just went, that's enough, and you just grab the ghost and like shove its head in a toilet? Like that would be absolutely hilarious, especially with the game Samson that's out, where it is that level of violence. That would be just funny if it were in a ghost game. But again, I'm not a game studio. There's more to it than that. And I know that's tough to do because these dinky little ghost simulators are typically like, you reskin one job simulator for the other. And it's not easy, but there's a certain thing to it. And making a brawling fighting game is probably not as easy as I'd love to give it credit for. But anyway, that's, like I said, that's it. If I don't have content, I don't stream. Getting into the sort of increasingly sort of existential dread of the void of information that we are faced with while searching for things in LINBUS, like the basic information. Everybody wants you to scan a car. That is very unfortunate because the car companies are like, all right, we're done with this car. Let's pack all the files up and throw them into our secret safe. And they won't tell you sort of the frames that you need to send in order to get certain things to happen. I have seen plenty of tutorials where people do get stuff working like that. It's always on the end that we've already mastered, which is scanning through the addresses and seeing what's replied to. We need to affect something that we don't have any information about. We need to send it a packet that it will accept, that it will basically act on the information that's given. And typically, I'm not sure about how LINBUS does it, but with CAN bus, you have a broadcast message that says the car is in the on position and the engine is running. And this is the status of this and that and the other thing. So I expected there to be a packet that would say, here's how much backlight we need right now. And it would be either nothing or all. The best way for me to do this would be to sit in a car, start logging, turn up and down. Well, start logging, put the car into the on position, turn on the headlights, go up and down on the knob. That'll give me every piece of information that I need. I can do that fairly quickly. I need to find a car that I can scan, and I need to see whether or not I can get access to the LINBUS without doing surgery on the car. It's easy to remove the airbag. You just need to poke it in both sides with a flathead, and then the airbag pops out, and I could get into the LINBUS through that plug. On the Mercedes, BMW is probably pretty trivial too. I know that getting to that headlight switch is more difficult because you got to remove pieces of the dash. So there might be another module that I can hook up to. I would have to take a look at that, or just do the steering wheel again. And, you know, once more remove an airbag. That would be putting a lot of faith in my own mechanic ability to not scratch up somebody's steering wheel while trying to get to those spring pins that hold the airbag in. The way that I would like to do it is by looking it up and finding a PDF that has a bunch of address information. And if that does exist, I'm going to have to get creative in searching for it. So that's where we're at. Most of the stream was spent explaining myself. The rest was spent hitting random packets into this thing. You know, I have a feeling it's like 2 or 3 packets that need to be in the right position. And so basic brute forcing probably won't do it. You can do a lot with brute forcing, but unfortunately, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do in order to get the backlight. So we know now that there's backlights in this, there's backlights in the steering wheel. I have to get them running. I have to get them running. Obviously, the easiest way to do this would be a microcontroller takeover. I would find a similarly pinned microcontroller and throw it inside of the device, reprogram it to do our bidding, and then we would know exactly what it can do and can't do. But do you do this stuff on a regular basis? Getting way into the weeds of a project? Yes. We're still working on fully hacking this thing. I've got control over the microcontroller so we can turn this into a CAN bus device. All this stuff is going towards the simulator setup. And the simulator setup is a real BMW chair, my real, hold on, where is that? My real streamer ass into a real BMW chair. And then my real Mercedes steering wheel, which has an adjustable column. And we'll be able to move. You guys will basically be able to fold everything up while I'm still in it. Hold on, I got a cough. Oh man, little organ came out. Okay, anyway, that I'm gonna wrap here. That's all I got. I need to end pretty much right now because, well, soon, because I have a goodbye party to get to for my neighbor. My neighbor's moving out. That's why I haven't been streaming as much. That's why I missed a couple streams. There's just been kind of hectic stuff going on. I will be on tomorrow. I don't see any reason why not. If something comes up, I'll let you guys know. On the Discord. Hi from Pennsylvania. I mean, I'm in Philly. What do you want? What do you want? Nobody likes us. We don't care. Although we wrote a song about that. So writing a song about how nobody cares about what you think of us is, I don't know. That's a little. I am following you starting today, bro. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we get way into the weeds here, hacking stuff. I'm building a simulator setup, but sorry about the coughing. For some reason, everything is dry. I'm dry, super dry, everything dry. Lots of coughing going on. We hit, we've been trying to get the headlight switch working. I'm trying to build up a couple CAN bus devices so that I have things to communicate on a network. Why is everyone in Philly? It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I actually found out that when I was doing the Android auto pancreas system, the thing that makes me capable of pulling my glucose levels up on screen like this, the person who was helping me out was also a fellow Pennsylvanian. We have the same endocrinologist. It's so weird. So now I go to my endo doctor and I'm like, yeah, I was talking to one of your patients, and but yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, yeah, we get way into the weeds kind of hacking stuff here. I'm building a simulator setup, a giant man baby setup, because I don't have space for a car. So I'm building a digital car, a physical digital car near the Penn State Stadium. I see. I've got a couple friends, and well, one of my moderators is in Pittsburgh. I bought a headlight switch. It's digital. It speaks LIN bus. We were able to brute force the LIN bus in order to get this thing to send a reply. Problem is, this thing also has a backlight in it, so I was unable to get the backlight packet. We've got a whole system on the Arduino. I've got a whole thing where I can send packets by setting up arrays. It'll send them out. Is it cold there? It is 91 degrees Fahrenheit today, which is a record temperature. It's freezing cold. It's cold in here because our air conditioning is working extra hard and the ground table's cold. So it doesn't have a lot to fight down here to get it to be cold. So simultaneously there's hot air surrounding me, but if the air moves at all, it's freezing. But that doesn't last very long. The temperatures are gonna drop soon. We're gonna have some kind of a nasty thunderstorm, and then temperatures will go back down. What we were doing is we were reading the position of the headlight switch and having that affect different packet structures to test. And so we have a transmit and a receive, and I can control what information goes through by flipping this. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the backlight to turn on at all. I've got to think of some other ways to do this. Hi from Texas. I think I would rather live in Pennsylvania. I love seasons and I love snow. I would move up more north if I could tolerate it, and I probably could. But yeah, I like snow. I've learned. And I'm kind of a weirdo. Everybody around here hates it. They all want to go down to Florida because the Florida-Pennsylvania pipeline is a real thing. I want to go to Canada. I don't know if I could stand Canada. I probably could. The cold. I would stand the cold. I just don't know. Yeah, I'd probably have a good, if I could uproot myself like that. But anyway, I like Philly. I like where I'm from. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm gonna go. I don't have any more content. We're talking about places to live. So I'm gonna have to do some deep research. There is a suite of software that is basically all of the information that car companies put out to their mechanics, and you can get some deep dives in that program. I have versions of a similar program for BMW. I'm gonna have to check the laptop and see what I've got. I don't think I have that deep of information because most of the stuff is there for techs, and the techs don't have to reprogram stuff. Yeah, I think All Data, but I don't know if All Data is going to even have that. I think what I need to do is find a car and hook into it, but that's psychotic. Unless you own the car, right? Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Here's the end card. This has my social media information on it. I will tell you right now, though, that the Blue Sky got hacked, and I'm so small. I'm such a small streamer that there's no way that they're going to respond to my email. I sent them an email a long time ago. Maybe they'll get around to the ticket at some point. I would very much like for my Blue Sky account to be, kind of reactivated, because I had 300 followers because of the whole migration over. That would take me years and years to gain back, so I'm just not going to bother. Why do we need so much social media? I'm on Discord if you guys want to catch me, but we got 20 hours, 22 minutes, and 7 seconds until the next stream, and I will catch you then if I do. What is this button? Where's the button? Is this, which button? Is this button?